Good morning, Azeroth, and welcome to another podcast with myself. Oh my god, Kargoz, what the fuck is on your head?
Nice.
Myself, Defcamp, my brother who now lives in the basement of my mom's house. And,
I've become a neckbeard.
Yeah,
I've graduated.
Dunedain, and this crazy guy with whatever on his head.
Wait.
What has he got going on there, man?
Hello. Good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Azeroth. Good morning. Happy holidays to everybody. Thanks for chilling with us today. This is episode 3 of our Classic WoW Chill Random Podcast. And there's a lot to talk about, man. We were thinking about, you know, just updating you guys, shooting the shit a little bit, and just talking about the various classes. I think a lot of people are have that, you know, that identity crisis when it comes to classes. You know, even 15 years later, you see some of the best players in the world, and they're still struggling. What do I want to roll? What do I want to roll? You know, the idea of fresh and like a new character is so exciting. So we were going to highlight some of the classes and, you know, at least share with you guys our subjective, you know, reasons for why we like that class. You know, why we think there's a lot to love with that class. So just what's up, guys? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Melderon.
Shamans.
No, not shamans. What I was going to say was that's a sign of a lack of homogenization in game design, and it's
Absolutely.
a sign of great class design, in my opinion.
That's so true, because I'm thinking like over a year now about which class I want to play in vanilla, and each day I change basically. And I started playing BFA when it came out, and I just picked one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
they
matter.
are basically the same, so you just choose a role and that's it.
You know, for me, it's like, it's so, because I usually gravitate towards healers, but I love playing a rogue in Classic, and I love leveling as a rogue. I love not dealing with people. You know, when you're getting ganked, you can just stealth away. It's so nice being a rogue at times, but, you know, and that's kind of where the difference comes from, because I enjoy leveling with certain classes, but some of those classes I don't enjoy playing them endgame. So it's like, you know, you deal with playing them while leveling or playing while endgame. So like, what do you go for? Do you know, go ahead and go through the leveling process and you're not really going to enjoy it, but you're going to get it? You know, that's kind of like a warrior, right? Warriors might have some problems while leveling, but you are really rewarded when you get to endgame.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually think about the end game when choosing a class, and then start playing it, and then I realize I don't like leveling. So, yeah.
That happens a lot, right? It's like,
yeah,
I want to play this class, so I'm going to be a tank, and then you're like, God, it sucks leveling a friggin' warrior, man.
It does, yeah. I mean, people get to like,
It's not that bad.
in my experience, people get to the 30s. They get to like 30 and they start burning out, and it's like around 32, 34 they tap out, especially with warriors, dude. They like maybe get their whirlwind axe, and then they realize it's not that hype, and then they just quit.
Okay, mister, I deleted my warrior. It's dead.
I also leveled a warrior to 60 on Chronos. So
okay,
what?
yeah, but your first warrior, you
My
gave
first
up.
warrior I did delete because I was a noob and I hated. I was really bad at the game. But so when I leveled my warrior on Chronos, dude, I had so much fun tanking, man. I did so many. I did so many dungeons.
Yeah.
But again, I like tanking, right? So that's the thing. But
I randomly picked a warrior when I started, and I just thought it was the same for all classes. I thought that was how it was. And then now I learned that warrior is quite hard to level, but I never knew when I played Classic.
I actually leveled two-handed. I landed one-handed dual-wield Fury, which is apparently not the best way to level as a warrior, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I thought defense was quite nice, so I picked defense as my first talent.
Oh, so with my first warrior, I was rolling around with talents in every tree, but my second warrior, I did full Fury two-handed spec, and I had a blast leveling, and then all I did was I had that shield with me. I had made sure I had really good one-handers, had a shield with me, went into the thing, and the Fury talents I think are really awesome for holding aggro in dungeons, especially if you're you know, higher crit chance and stuff like that. So I loved it, but again, I can see why people don't like leveling a warrior, but I think it's a rite of passage, man. I think to get to that point where you do have a guaranteed raid spot, either as a tank or a DPS, guaranteed, near guaranteed,
pretty much top DPS.
To get to that point.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if warriors were the fastest leveler and they were the best at endgame? It's just too much.
That's like where, you know, hunters, they might be great levelers, but they're, you know, I mean, they're okay in tier 1, but they kind of fall down.
They don't scale very well.
They don't scale very well.
But they get better in next gear, right?
Yeah,
they just
well,
have that part in between MC and
most of the game.
That's quite big part.
It definitely is a rite of passage to level a warrior to 60 in vanilla. You get a couple stripes doing that. It's definitely a hard journey. I think that's one of my recommendations too for those of you, that are interested in playing a warrior. Maybe level a different class first. Maybe level a mage or a hunter or something like that. You can funnel gear down to your warrior. My personal strat come classic, especially because I'm going to be streaming a lot, is I'm going to be right there on launch. I'm going to go 24 hours straight, and I'm going to go 18-8 for the first week or so, hopefully get 60 in that week, and then start dungeon mob tagging all my alts, and so I can stay out of the contested zone. So I don't know if you guys know about that, but pretty much you can go into dungeons with higher level characters, and then you can either tag with some dynamite, or if you're a priest, you can use Holy Nova. It causes no threat. Warriors running through the whole thing. You do the thing in like 3 pulls, spamming Demo Shout. You can really power level through and stay out of those contested zones. But that first character is going to be rough. That first character, you're going to have to.
And that's why you should usually, if you're going to be going that route, make your first character a character that can, like, making a mage as your first character is very helpful. I see a lot of mages who go out there and, like, just like you said, Kargoz will go out and dungeon tag, with 2 mages and stuff like that. So a mage is a very good character, especially because you can farm DM, you can farm, pretty much everything they're amazing at farming at, and they're a very good class.
Hunter.
I would say mage.
Mage is above hunter, but hunters too are just great for.
Well, yeah, they're definitely faster, right? Yeah, they're good at making money, but I don't think anything beats a mage as far as farming.
No.
The thing is, though, on a fresh server, though, that's the thing, right? So on a fresh server, there's so much we need to know about a fresh server, about what these servers are going to look like, what the population is going to look like, if it's going to be sharded, right off the gate, how long it's going to be sharded, because those first mages are going to achieve a lot of success, right? The ones that can successfully, through whatever means, get ahead of the pack. And the early levels on a mage are slow. You guys probably know this is pretty slow on the mage. But if you can get ahead and you get access to, like, the Murlocs in Theramore and the Murlocs in Swamp of Sorrows and friggin' Sorrow Hill and stuff, you're golden. You're going to get monstrous XP per hour. But let's say you fall behind and you don't have access to those spots, mages could be one of the slower classes to level too.
Yeah, and like you said, they're pretty slow in the beginning until you don't get Blizzard till later, and you have to talent it to where you can AoE farm pretty good. And it's definitely one of those classes where where as a hunter, level 10, once you hit level 10, and of course level 20 when you get your aspect of the cheetah, you're gone. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's gonna keep up with you. But
we also don't know what they're gonna do with farming either. Are they gonna nerf DM farming? We don't know.
Probably.
If they do, that's a huge hit to mages. As far as you could still farm out in the world, but then you have competition. So I don't know. I don't think they should nerf DM farming, but
do you think they will come out and tell us before the game actually launches?
No, I think we'll just kind of figure. But how do you nerf? That's the question. Mechanistically, how do you do it? How do you nerf DM farming? Do you make them up?
You just decrease the amount of the drops.
Oh, instances. Oh, the drop rate.
Yeah.
Because then, well,
I don't know if they want to do that.
Then how are you going to reward groups for going and doing it the right way?
These private servers have messed with these places, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but they've messed with Maraudon, they've messed with DMEs, they've messed with, they've even messed with Blackrock Depths. They've made some of the mobs root you when you didn't usually get rooted before. They've already kind of messed with it. I wonder what it's going to be like in Classic, man. I don't know.
It's everything's going to be up in the air probably till later, but I really do believe that a lot of stuff like that, and you're going to have a lot of players who are going to have the upper hand. Of course, players that know these kind of things in advance, that are going to have the upper hand over the average player, because there are going to be a lot of players who either never got to that or just never played vanilla. And so you're going to, if that is the case, there will be probably a big divide in players where you have,
I think so too.
And that could be a problem. That could be a problem. But then again, there was a divide back in vanilla with the people, because I didn't know jack shit back in vanilla. There was a whole other group of people who knew, all these other things and knew, you know, to farm DM. Like, I didn't know any of that. I knew, you know, my leatherworking and like whatever I was doing at the time. So, you know, I mean, it's kind of, but we do live in a different world today where information is much more accessible than it was back then.
I didn't know about it either back in the day, but I knew there was a place in Altric Valley in the caves where you could farm gold, like 100 gold an hour or something like that. You could bug them out somehow and then keep farming them. My friend did it, and then he got an epic mount in like 2 days, and I was like, how did you do that?
Other than like playing the auction house, do you guys have an opinion on what like the best gold farming method is, at least that you've seen?
DM personally, okay, so like my big thing is, and Melderon was a big help with this too, with the leatherworking. I'm sorry, skinning. Like, to get money while leveling, skinning is a big help. You can sell a lot of your crap, but I actually found some good spots, especially like before you get to level 40. So like if you need money to get to get your first mount, right? There's those hyenas in, where is it, Thousand Needles. Like, their loot is very, very lucrative. Like, you can make a lot of money just killing those hyenas there and get your mount in no time. Your level 40 mount.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, the hyenas in Desolus?
No, the hyenas in
right near the Shimmering Flats, right where the Thousand Needles turns into Shimmering Flats. There's a bunch of hyenas there.
And they hit really weak or something like that. Is that the thing about them? But they give you the XP of a regular mob.
They give.
It's not about the XP. It's about the gray items they drop.
Oh, okay.
The gray items they drop, and also and this is one that I think Frost Adamus made a guide on, those Dragonkins in the Badlands. They have an insane rate of dropping like blues and purples. And they also drop the fire glands, which you can sell. But I also noticed in Stranglethorn Vale, the Mistvale gorillas there. I don't know what it was about those gorillas, but I got multiple blues off those gorillas in like 2 hours. So there's a few good spots.
Yeah, but those are drop rates based on private servers.
Also those gorilla fangs, right? You need those for the quest there. Maybe you could sell those too, right? You can sell the gorilla fangs.
And quest items. So like there are things like
bronze pipe, no, bronze tube.
Bronze tubes sell for a good amount. Discolored Warcart in
Silver Pine Forest.
Silver Pine Forest, they sell a little bit, and yeah, so there's little things like that you can kind of get ahead, and we have a few guides on the channel that we've made.
Are these hyenas in Shimmering Flats, are they better than the basilisks from Desolus?
They're actually the hyenas in Thousand Needles.
No, he's asking, are they better?
Yeah.
Then the Basilisk where?
In Desolus.
In Desolus, so
they'd be lower level, right? So I mean, that in one sense, if they're dropping,
they would be lower level. Yeah.
Depends what level you are. So what I did was I spent, I don't know, a few hours farming those. I got a whole level just farming them on my Shaman.
Yeah.
I think I walked away with like 10, 15 gold at like level what, 30 something. You know, so it was...
No, it's like 28, I think, actually. Like,
maybe 28.
Yeah. You can basically start farming them at 28 and then go to
and then go to Desolus.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to level that way, you know, I personally don't like grinding the level personally. I don't like doing it, but on a fresh server, I was Herbalism Alchemy, and I wasn't making the money I used to. It's the first time I shifted from mining skinning. Mining skinning for me is the most money. It requires the least amount of work, or herbalism skinning, not just mining skinning.
Yeah.
Just having skinning, dude, while leveling, you make so much extra money. It's ridiculous.
And mining too, selling the stone on the auction house, and if you're not using it for anything, the stone sells for so much.
Yeah.
And like mining skinning, I think personally,
herbalism skinning too.
Herbalism is great too, but you know, herbalism this last time on Northdale was so messed up because of the
population size.
Isn't it like the purple lotus was selling for like 65 gold, dude, or black lotus?
Well, you can't. Dude. Well, yeah, when they go BOE, but they're still. I think, and then people will stockpile them.
I think they're BOE now on Northdale. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't played on Northdale in about a week or so. So since the launch of ZG.
Oh, speaking of ZG, so the best gold farming method, potentially, is farming Crocs and ZG as a mage, man. It's crazy selling those bijous, and you can actually farm them like by yourself. You can just like use go fish for the clear casting and then only use your top rank blizzard or whatever when you get the clear casting. You can solo those crocs, sell the bijous. It's insane gold. People were telling me that's the best cheap gold per hour in the game. You get like 400 gold an hour.
Wow, 400 gold an hour. That's good. Yeah, I mean,
you say 400 gold an hour?
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah,
I have nothing to compare to that. I mean, when I did DM farming on my mage, I was able to pay for my epic mount and my whole Bloodvine set within a week.
Damn.
Yeah. But that's a lot of hours of grinding. So, but think about that. I mean, that's everything you need. That's your pre-raid bis, 50 to 60% of your pre-raid bis, and your epic mount.
Are you guys picking up an echo?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's off my mic. You just have to like deal with it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, there's a few other things as a mage too, like selling the first boss in DM North. And of course, you know, as like a hunter, you can do the Mardon, selling the Mardon loot, things like that. There's a lot of good dungeon grinds, and of course, with that is you're not going to be in the actual world dealing with other people. That's the great part about doing dungeon grinds, right? You're not fighting against other people, which is the worst thing to do. Like, you know, like especially like farming elemental fire, like it's so lucrative, especially like when the server first launches and you need all those fire resistance potions, and you know it's so lucrative farming elemental fire, but it's such a pain in the ass, especially on a PvP server.
Word.
So we were talking about those classes. Is there any class you would not want to play?
Yeah, there is. I could go on and on about this, and this is going to be controversial, and I actually want people to come at me because I want to change my position on this.
Rogue, right?
I want to change my position on this. But let's get into it. All right, let's get into it. I made a little, you know what I do. These little, these little PowerPoints here. So we'll get into it in a second. So, all right, guys, we're going to talk about the different classes, all 9 classes. We're going to talk about what we like about them, what we maybe don't like about them. Maybe I know a lot of you guys are out there trying to find your main, what you're going to roll in Classic. It's so exciting, you know. It's such a big deal, such a big time commitment. What are you going to main? What are you going to identify as? You know,
I love that Paladin thing.
So here we go. We're going to start off with the Paladin. This is a class that I've been leveling low-key, and I'm having a lot of fun on it, man.
So much fun.
So much fun, and I'll get into it in a second. Shout out to Navik and everyone that's been in the Discord, you know, leveling together and stuff. But pretty much, all right. So let's start with Paladin. So you know, a lot of people historically think of the Paladin as the slowest leveling class in the game. You sit there. They had that whole like kind of porn meme where you're supposed to just like auto attack and like, you know, I don't know if you guys saw that on the forums. It became a bit of a meme, but pretty much, you know, they're historically known as some of the slowest leveling classes, going deep red, just throwing on a seal. But actually, as I was playing one and learning one, making my Paladin leveling guide, the leveling experience is actually quite fun and dynamic. I mean, if you are speccing into your reduced seal costs and you're speccing into your, you know, we're talking like 1 to 33 or whatever before you respec prot, you are actually judging on cooldown, using different seals in different situations. You're actually clicking a few buttons on your just, you know, your day-to-day mob that you're fighting. So Ret, 1 to 30s, mid 30s, in my opinion, is faster than Paladin. It's still pretty slow though. And you pretty much keep up with mages with Blink, which is a crazy thing. People don't really think about that. You get 8% with Pursuit of Justice, but as you're walking around as a Paladin, you're a little bit behind the mage, but not by much. So, you know, I mean, the mages have teleport and other movement abilities like that too, but you know, it's pretty slow and steady on a Paladin. You have some oh shit buttons, and you have just massive impact in groups. Sorry, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna talk too much. Go ahead.
Yep. No, that's the thing too. Like, oh no, I'm sorry, Dunedain, you go ahead.
No, yeah. What I want to say, Paladin is like that one class that's always fun to level and always fun to play endgame, in my opinion. But I think Paladin is especially nice if you never played it before. In my opinion, they have like the most interesting spells. Many people will disagree, but all those seals, all those buffs, they are quite unique. And if you never leveled one and you don't know a lot about it, it's interesting to see what comes next, and they keep coming.
You have so much impact in dungeons, guys. If you like dungeons, you have so much impact. You can be ret, healing, off healing, throwing up different. You can judge different seals. So you can judge light or judge wisdom, and people even spells proc wisdom. So you're getting mana back on spells. You know what I mean? You have Salvation, you have Sanctuary. We were talking to Lestor the other day. He thinks the best blessing in the game is Blessing of Sanctuary because it's a flat damage reduction to your raid. You take way less damage with Sanctuary up. And then mid-30s, You start AoE grinding. I really like the idea of AoE grinding. It's probably my favorite type of leveling out of all the different styles of leveling. Being able to push yourself to the limit, you know, pull as much as you possibly can.
Paladin, man. It's so much fun.
It's so fun. You stack reflect damage, so you get like retribution aura. You get a mithril spike if you can afford it. You get stuff that will, when you get, has a chance of proccing something when you get hit. You stack all that type of stuff. You can use the Dragon Breath Chili, which does like 65 damage in a conal effect in front of you. You stack
feel
all
so
this,
badass too. You're just like taking on all these mobs. It's like And the thing about paladins too is like they're so powerful at such a low level. I don't think any other class has so many defensive spells as a paladin does at their low level. That you get Lay on Hands, Blessing of Protection, your bubble, all within the first like 20 levels, 25 levels, 26 levels, something like that. It's ridiculous. You know, they are a force to be reckoned with in World PvP. Absolutely. You know, you can get a lucky crit. You need speed pots, yeah. But you know, and then you have your freedom. Like having freedom is amazing, and the fact that you can, you know, it's funny because you can be standing next to a paladin and you're like, okay, he's hit me, whatever, and then the next thing you know, he gets one crit and you're down at 20% health. Like they can get you down so quick, and it's very surprising how hard they can hit.
Yeah. And even without Reckoning in Classic, so that's one thing. Like procking Reckoning is a big deal. That's what all the private servers have been doing. So we don't know what's going to be exactly the case come real Classic. Even if that's not in the game, I've been testing this. You can still AoE grind. I actually think it's really, paladins are overrated. Look at this guy. Yeah, but duo leveling as a paladin. All right, so check this out. Check this out, YouTube people. So pretty much, if you partner up with a druid, right, and they give you thorns. And even if you can't sit proc Reckoning, you just stack reflect damage. Druid gives you thorns, and you use Seal of Wisdom and Judge Seal of Wisdom, and you use Consecrate. You can AoE grind really efficiently. You can get like, and you don't need any sit proc of Reckoning. You can AoE grind as a paladin, no problem. And like when you get to the later levels, like let's say when you get to Sorrow Hill and stuff, you'll be pulling like 45k XP an hour, and you're not even really getting most of your damage from Reckoning. It's mainly from chip damage from the reflect and from Consecrate. So AoE grinding, if I had to level a paladin in Classic, it's not going to be deep ret. I would go AoE. I would go AoE grinding.
Absolutely.
And
it's so much fun.
Something interesting to think about is when we go to the Burning Crusade, all 3 specs are extremely interesting and unique.
Yes, they are.
So that's another bonus.
Yeah, they get really interesting and fun. I think Prot, Paladin, and Burning Crusade is probably the most fun it's ever been. Ever. It is perfect in the Burning Crusade.
I like it vanilla too. You can tank dungeons 5-man so easy. Like it's so hard to pull threat off you.
Yeah, but Avenger Shield, man, and it's like Avenger Shield. Get that.
True.
Yeah.
The good thing about going like basically any spec on Paladin is, at least I don't have a lot of experience, really any experience at like endgame raids and stuff, but while you're leveling, at least you can throw up Blessing of Light and you are an awesome healer. You can down rank Holy Light. You can use like rank 2 Holy Light. You can use like rank 2 Flash Heal, some of the really low ranks of Holy Light, plus Blessing of Light, and you can heal like an absolute monster, dude. Like,
it adds like what is it at its max rank? 100 and
no, more than that. 210 is the first rank, 300 is the second rank. Yeah, I think there's a third rank too. Of Holy Light, and Flashlight.
Of Holy Light, right?
Yeah, of Holy Light.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm thinking of Blessing of Light. Yeah. I was thinking of the Blessing. I thought you meant like how much. I was like, Blessing of Light adds 300 healing. I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah. No, I mean, as you're leveling as a prop pal, you can do any 3 rolls, like easy peasy. I mean, it'll struggle a little bit before you get Consecration because you need to walk in there, and the main AoE threat you're getting is from the mobs hitting you, so you need the mobs to hit you a little bit. But once you have Holy Shield and Consecration, you're a monster. You're a monster.
I'm just looking to Melderon's face.
I know.
Yeah, I'm so falling asleep over here.
We can move on. You want to talk about Shamans, Phil?
No, I just wanted to talk about something other than Paladins.
Alright, what are some of the downsides of Paladins? Maybe Melderon has some insight into some of the, the disadvantages.
The downsides? Here, let me start. Hold on a second. Okay. It's the most gimped, like, cheap class ever created in Blizzard. You get 3 health bars, okay? 3.
Facts.
I don't know. It's just like, for me, when I play a paladin, I'm thinking to myself, like, it's like, here you go, take all of these benefits. Like, I'd rather play a class that actually has some is hard to actually play. I mean, you're basically just healing constantly. You're critting in raids. You're getting your mana back. How's that fun? You're just sniping heals. Like to me, there's like no There's no skill to playing a Paladin endgame PvE, not PvP, endgame PvE. There's really no skill.
Okay.
You put your blessings on, and then you just hit Flash of Light, rank 1, the entire, or whatever it is, man. I don't know what rank it is, but like, I'd rather play a class that actually makes me think.
I think we have a jealous Shaman.
I know.
The thing is,
jealous.
yo, so Dunedain, did you play Paladin
He
Classic?
snipes all my heals.
No, I played Warrior.
Oh, you played Warrior.
Vanilla. Yeah.
Okay, you played Warrior.
I started playing in the Burning Crusade with the Paladin, and I played in Wrath of the Lich King, and in Pandaria, and in Legion. So I played it quite a lot.
Okay, well, my favorite aspect of Paladin in Classic, I think, so far to date with my limited little P-brain experience, is pretty much Holy Reckoning. I love Holy Reckoning. You can be accepted into raids because you have Blessing of Sanctuary to offer, which is like potentially the best blessing in the game. You also can tank. You can throw on a shield and do 5 mans no problem because you have improved Righteous Fury. And you're still a threat in PvP. You got Reckoning. You're still a threat. So Holy Reckoning is so cool. These flex specs in vanilla, where you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't just always respec unless you're some out-of-touch baller. You can just go a flex spec and do different things and always be just like the ultimate Swiss Army knife for your guild or your boys. Like, that is awesome to me.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, Melderon too? I think if you tried playing as a protection paladin, in vanilla, you would be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, but you can't do anything. You can't do anything past. You really can't raid.
We're talking about leveling. For leveling.
Yeah, but why would I? It doesn't matter.
But
if
you can heal.
If I have no goal,
you can heal.
If I have no goal.
Well, why would you play
raid,
as an enhancement shaman or an elemental shaman if you're not going to do it at endgame?
Because then I would do PvP if I was staying that endgame. If I was doing elemental enhancement,
you've done it on this shaman. You've leveled enhancement, leveled elemental.
So you guys are healers, right? You guys are healers by trade, right? You guys are healers primarily, right?
Yeah,
all right. So let me read to you. Let me read to you, and this is gonna set Melderon off because this is so cheap. Okay. Honestly, it's so cheap. It's so cheap. Like, if they could calculate this, let me type it in. Blessing of Sanctuary. So pretty much.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Okay, okay, so Blessing of Sanctuary at max rank places a blessing on a friendly target, reducing just flat damage reduction from all sources by up to 24 for 5 minutes. In addition, when the target blocks a melee attack, the attacker will take 35 holy damage. But you're basically putting this on for the damage reduction. So this is a damage reduction that's there all the time, every time. As soon as your raid gets hit, this is basically healing, right? So if you could quantify the impact of Blessing of Sanctuary, your healing would be like off the charts. You'd be like just absolute best in slot healer, like just massive impact. So there is a slot for a Holy Reckoning Paladin with Blessing of Sanctuary, and yes, Melderon, you're primarily healing for your raid, but then you can also do all this other stuff. You can PvP, you can tank.
It's the same thing. Are you talking about protection?
I'm talking about, yeah, it's basically like Holy Reckoning. So you go into protection and you go into Holy. Yeah. So you get Blessing of Sanctuary and you're able to tank, you're able to heal. So in raids, you're actually primarily healing. It's not like you're
tanking. The healing is almost as good as if you go full Holy. So
exactly, and the healing's still amazing. As long as you go down into Illumination, right?
You sacrifice 5% crit, which is your most important thing on a pally, which apparently is bad. But you have Blessing of Sanctuary, dude. Like every time someone in your raid gets hit, you're basically healing him for like 24.
We actually had a protection healing paladin in my vanilla guild.
So if you have 40 people and they get hit times 24...
Yeah, but the 40 people aren't going to get hit. I mean, like, most of the mechanics in vanilla are pretty simplistic. I mean, like, so what I'm saying is that there are very rare times that the tank...
On certain fights, they would be good, with AoE damage going out.
Oh, on certain fights. How many of those fights exist?
I mean, yeah.
Let's say everyone does get hit. Every time your raid gets hit, you heal 960.
Yeah, but again, how often does it happen?
Maybe an AQ.
I think it's a waste
of
talent points. Yeah.
Yeah, an AQ and AQ, I mean, there's some fights. There are some fights. But you know, there's the benefit, and then of course if you're judging too, and then all the melee that's getting healed.
Oh yeah,
from
dude.
Your judgment of
judging
so that's
wisdom and light, dude. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's mana back. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is crazy, and I think that is one of the coolest mechanics ever. And I wish more MMOs did this. Putting a debuff on a target, like as a healer, putting a debuff on a target, and then when all of your melee hits that target, you get healed from it. I think that is one of the coolest mechanics that was ever created. Like I love the Blessing of Light. So when you're judging, I'm sorry, Judgment of the Light. So when you're judging, when you're judging a target, right, it puts a debuff on the target so that anytime a melee or anyone hits that target, they get health back from that judgment. For that,
and it lasts in perpetuity. It doesn't go away, right? It literally just lasts for as long as the duration of the fight, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it's some long duration.
I think you have to...
Because your melee attacks refresh it. Melee attacks refresh it. That's the
melee attacks refresh it. That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
melee attacks refresh it.
So, and then the way that works is, too, it's like every time, you know, someone's getting hit, you're getting... So the way it works in later in days, like I think in Legion, they had it to where it only had a certain amount of stacks. So you had, like, I think it was like 80 stacks, and then once those stacks ran up, but it's not like that in vanilla. You know what I mean? So you basically, every time someone's hitting the target, you're getting health back. I think that right there is one of the coolest mechanics ever, and I wish there was more mechanics like that, where a healer could do damage to the target, and putting that debuff for damage on the target heals the rest of the group. I think that right there is such an amazing mechanic.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It lasts only 10 seconds. And yeah, it doesn't refresh because only Ret refreshes the... When you're Ret, you refresh the seals. That's right.
No, but I'm Prot right now. I refresh it.
You take 3 points and improved, then it becomes 30 seconds.
Well, mine refreshes. Mine refreshes right now on Prot. I don't know, man. Like your melee
it's only certain. It's only certain seals, though, isn't it?
Well, it's on Wisdom, on Crusader, on Light. It says on the
only
tooltip melee
Crusader
attacks.
gets refreshed.
Let me see. No. There's no way. There's no way. Judgment of Wisdom. Okay, Blessing of Seal of Wisdom.
But I just love... I think that mechanic is amazing, like when doing that. And there's really no other class that has a mechanic like that.
It's true. And the fact that... Okay, so I always thought that Warlocks were the only class that could have on-demand resource generation. Like, if as a Warlock you can convert health into mana, mana into health, depending on what the situation dictates. So, oftentimes, you pull 12 ghouls, you're in Sorrow Hill, you're a Paladin, you're taking big damage. You have to use Seal of Light and sustain yourself. Or... You know, you need mana for whatever reason. Then you throw on Seal of Wisdom and you judge Seal of Wisdom, or you can do a mixture of both. You can use one Seal of Light, then maybe you're judging Wisdom, and you can basically generate the perfect amount of resources that you need to win that fight. At least when it comes to AoE tank, it's very valuable, and even in dungeons and stuff too. It's really cool. I love being able to generate resources in combat like that. You can literally use a mob as a mana battery. You judge Wisdom on him, then you use Seal of Wisdom, and you just use it as a mana battery. You just
It's so cool. It's so cool. And then, you know, we can. I don't know if you want to keep on talking about Paladins, but I think Paladins. Yeah, you're right, Melderon. There are, and you know, Blizzard even stated that Paladins were kind of considered to be a class for the easier player at first. But I think that only goes really to Ret when you think about it. I mean, yeah, Holy is simple in ways, but it's very rewarding, especially when every time you crit with Illumination, you're getting that mana bat from that heal. It's such a cool mechanic. I think that as well.
But that mechanic alone makes them tier 1 healers, and that actually ruins the competition. What?
I mean, not that mechanic alone. That
come on, that is
the fact that their heals are so fast.
Okay,
and then yeah. I mean that,
but still. So there are fast heals in other classes too. What's the cast speed?
Efficient.
On what? On what? Flash?
1.5.
1.5 is Flash. Yeah.
Same as Lesser Healing Wave. So
yeah, but it's extremely cheap. That's really why.
And they can go forever, dude. They can go for days. Like, and so this guy was saying that so your melee attacks do refresh it with Seal of Wisdom and Light, but he's saying that you can't really melee as a Holy Paladin. But my question to this guy, Flak Attack, is why not? You already have to stand within a few yards of your group to get the aura. Like, why don't you just throw in a melee?
Because you're going to be healing. I mean,
just real quick though. You just run in one.
I mean, you can. No, I mean, like I've done it. I've definitely done it before. But you're not going to be sitting there meleeing like for a long time.
Yeah.
All you got to do is hit it one time.
It's supposed to be like that, but many people don't do it.
All I know is in dungeons, I love the fact on a Paladin, like even if you're Ret, you throw up a seal, and then you just like weave heals between your auto attacks, and you're putting out a good amount of damage, in addition to healing.
And that's why healing as a Holy Paladin in dungeons is really fun too, because you could actually go there in the fight when no one's not getting hit, replenish your mana by putting Judgment of Wisdom in. I mean, there's a lot of really cool abilities as Paladins. They have so many different kind of buffs, so many different things they could do to help the other players, whether it's giving someone wipe prevention. That's a huge another thing right there. Wipe prevention is amazing. So yeah, I mean, Paladins, I would rate them. I think sometimes that like having a Paladin in and that's why a lot of people argue that Alliance is easy mode and Horde is hard. And I honestly I agree.
Yeah.
Alliance
That's
is
what I'm trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what Melderon's point is.
Dokken, this Paladin talk making me homesick for Horde life. Thank you, Dokken.
Well, I'm playing Horde. I'm not an Alliance, dude. I'm just getting another perspective on it, dude. I'm Horde. I'm rolling Horde. I'm going Warlock. You guys know this.
So let's talk about Shamans now.
Okay,
Paladins are like Power Rangers.
Okay, one of the bad things, I will point that when you get tier 2 Judgment set, like one of the coolest sets in the game, you don't wear it, and you look like this guy over here on the right. It's actually very sad.
Yeah, you're gonna be wearing leather and like a lot of other
and cloth and stuff, right?
Cloth and yep.
Yeah.
So what do the tier 2 benefits for protection more, or is that why you don't wear
it's not even good for them too.
It's just shit. It's just complete shit.
No.
But AoE grinding and tanking as a prot pally, I just want to say, is so much fun, guys. It's actually so fun. And you can do all types of stuff to min-max your reflect damage, get that engineering shield, you can get like the imp fire shield, thorns, and then you're just like, every time the mob hits you, they're just taking massive damage. Alright, let's move on to Warlock.
Oh, you want to go Warlock? Okay. I know Melderon's itching, but...
No, he's got to...
You want to go Shaman? You want to go Shaman? Oh, let's go Shaman.
No.
Okay.
Go towards the. I don't think we're gonna get them all of them today if we keep talking about Paladins and stuff.
Okay, that's true.
But anyway, let's go to Warlock.
Warlocks. Who wants to start? I think Warlocks are an amazing leveling class. I mean, a well-played Warlock, and that's something that you don't run into a lot, because there are some Warlocks out there who don't realize the potential you can have as a Warlock. Using your demons correctly, if you know how to play a Warlock, whether it's PvP or PvE, it's all about manageability and what you can do. You can rival mages in their manageability if you can play a Warlock correctly. I think Warlocks get kind of the shit end of the stick a lot of times when people don't realize how much potential they really have. You have so much damage mitigation, you have so much control, and honestly, if there's one class that I haven't played enough and I want to play more, for me that's Warlock.
I actually agree with this.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm playing Warlock. I'm rolling Warlock. I could go on for days. I could write papers about why I think Warlocks are amazing.
Let's hear it.
Tier 1 levelers. Okay, fastest 1 to 10. We'll start at the origins. You made a Warlock. Boom. Level 1 in the character creation screen. You already look awesome. All right, 1 to 10, fastest class in the game. Come at me. Does anybody think another class is faster 1 to 10? I don't think so. Triangle trapping as a Warlock with your imp is incredible, so effective. You get to 10 super quick, then you get your Voidwalker, then you can start mob juggling, which means basically you're dotting up like 3, probably in the early stages probably 2 to 3 at a time, and then you can move on. Once your Voidwalker gets the AoE taunt, you can start like multi-dotting and killing like 3-4 mobs at the same time. You can change health into mana into health, whatever you want. You have a soul stone to prevent every time you die. You get a free mount at 40, and then once you do finally get to you have massive utility with summons, and if you're a leader and you're going to be going and starting dungeon groups, which you should be starting your own groups, you're going to be traveling to the destination anyway. And the fact that you can summon people, massive impact. You got Hellstones, Soul Stones, you get the free mount at 40. And then once you get to 60, you got a very easy pre-raid bis. You got to just get that shadow set crafted for you. Very easy. Was like 3 pieces, something like that. And then even the level 60 mount is discounted, right? It's not going to be as much as the full retail regular mount.
It takes a while though for people to get, but yeah, it still
takes a while.
And it looks. Let's agree, it is one of the most badass mounts in the game.
Definitely. Also, you do have AoE potential. There are a lot of really interesting specs, cool demons. You have utility with Succubus and Imp and Voidwalker. Pretty much you're okay. So in PvP, if you're trying to get best in slot, you don't have to get rank 14. So I know myself, I don't have the willpower, the skill, all that stuff to go rank 14. I don't think I can get there myself. It's going to be just too much for me. But I do think I can get rank 8, rank 9, whatever I need to get full bis. So I like that. That's very appealing to me. We're in 1.12, so historically Warlocks struggled in the early portions of vanilla. As many of you guys know, later on they started to get better and better. And I always envied, as a hunter, I've made hunter for 3 times in vanilla. I always envied the classes where you have one button to click in raids. It just is very calming, very soothing to me. You don't have to really focus that much. I'm just gonna put Shadow Bolt on scroll up on my mouse wheel, Curse of Elements, Shadow Bolt, Shadow Bolt, Shadow Bolt, Shadow Bolt, Shadow Bolt, and all right, I'll stop for a second. But I really like Warlocks. I'm gonna main Warlock in Classic.
That's awesome. I think you brought a lot of good points.
I think we don't give Warlocks enough credit. We always talk about hunters being the solo play masters, but I think you can definitely be the same with the Warlock. So,
especially with Fear, dude.
Yeah.
Fear without the trinkets, there's not going to be honor system, right? Early when they launch. Fear with no trinkets is broken. It's so strong. It's so.
That's why I gotta play undead if you're.
if you're up against a class that can't purge off your double Voidwalker sack, like it's over, dude. It's Nicky Night Night. Like they're gonna take you out, dude.
Just
like
dispel that shit.
Yeah,
they can dispel their shadow. What is the shadow protection called again? Shadow protection, right? The spell.
Which one?
The one that you put on yourself that reduces the shadow one, and then isn't there something that they have that combats shadow spells as well?
Oh, they might. I
forget what it's called. Yeah, if someone can put that. But you know, because there's so many times as a priest that I'm fighting off a warlock, and when I was a shitty priest and didn't know that I could just dispel all this crap, and you know what I mean, like, oh my god, all my damage is just getting absorbed in Shadow Ward. That's it. I'm sorry, Shadow Ward. Yeah, Shadow Ward. It absorbs an insane amount of shadow damage, and then on top of that, they have their sacrifice. It's ridiculous.
And so the downsides of a warlock is mobility, right? But there's so many items and stuff in the game, like speed pots, things you can do to make up for the lack of mobility, and also you're the pound for pound 1v1 solo champ. Like, you go SL Warlock or something, the main strat if you see someone in a pre-made as SL Warlock is you just ignore them. You just ignore them because they're just not going to do enough pressure to you. But in a 1v1 situation, if you had to fight an SL Warlock 1v1, they're going to have the edge. Like, you listen to some of these top-tier PvPers, myself, I was not included, I'm not one of them, but you listen to them, and they pretty much all have insane problems and feel like they have no win condition versus SL Warlocks. Again, to me, being self-reliant, being able to hold my own out in the world by myself, I value that very highly.
That's what I was saying. But
Succubus alone, like Succubus alone, is I know a lot of warlocks who don't use Succubus just because they think it takes the fun out of it, because of how broken Succubus can be.
Succubus? Oh yeah, and even in dungeon utility, it's pretty decent. I mean, it's not like the greatest thing ever.
No, it's really good. Yeah, we actually did the first LBRS I did. We actually probably. It was the first LBRS I did, and thank God we had a Warlock, because we had no other CC except for a Warlock. And it was the first time we did LBRS getting to 60 on Northdale, so it was like we weren't very geared or anything like that, and we had no other CC other than a Warlock with Succubus. And that's the thing, is like a lot of people don't realize the potential that a Warlock has.
Definitely, and they scale pretty decently. They do pretty good damage. You know, like there's almost a pressure off your shoulders to perform as, like, you know, you're not expected to be #1 on the charts, right? You know what I mean? You have a very simple rotation. I don't know how much you guys value that, but to me, that's almost like a benefit. Like, I don't want to play the super underdog class, but I like the middle of the pack underdog class where no one's expecting me to top deeps as a Warlock, and if it happens, it just makes you look even better.
Like Rough Rider said. As a Shadow Priest, when I play Shadow, I feel like I can usually destroy or fight a good Warlock. Warlocks, they are, you know, if they know what they're doing, they should be going after your mana, like you know, they should be going after, you know, with mana drain, things like that. But as a Shadow Priest who can quickly dispel the Shadow Ward, dispel the sacrifice. So Shadow Priest, I'd say, would kind of be probably a Warlock's most probably one of the hardest classes to deal with 1v1. Would probably be a Shadow Priest. With, you know, you have of course you yourself have Psychic Extreme, we have Silence, we have a lot of things to fight against a Shadow Priest. You can dispel all their buffs, but a good Warlock should be able to put up a pretty good fight. You know, I would say maybe if you were able to somehow go after the priest's mana in some way, because that was one thing that I had this certain fight. I wasn't Shadow, I will say that. I was Holy Spec, and this Warlock was just we were fighting, and he was able to get rid of my mana, and I was like, shit, I actually had to use Demonic Rune to kill him, and I almost killed myself with the rune, but I still was able to get him.
You bring up a good point, though. Like, being able to drain mana, that's a massive win condition that people don't really, you know, like, think about a lot. Especially as a Paladin. As a Paladin, I'm loving a Paladin, right? If you drain a Paladin's mana, dude, they are a potato. They are a potato. They're gonna walk around just slapping you with the one-hander. Like, you know, it's yeah, the draining mana is really important. Also with the Warlocks, what was I going to say about Warlocks? So Warlocks, I mean, they have good AoE potential. They, man, what was I going to say about Warlocks, man? You can run them in pre-mades. Shoot, I forgot I had a good point.
Wipe prevention, Soulstone.
Wipe prevention is key for sure.
Summoning, I mean, it's, you know, they're a great asset to raids. They're a great asset to anything 1v1. You know, soloing. I think Warlocks are definitely a appreciated class. Yeah, thank you. I was looking for the word.
Oh, and I think that's what I was gonna say. If you're Horde, you don't have to deal with Will the Forsaken or anything like that. You know what I mean? So you're even stronger in that sense. So, yeah.
So what class do you go when you play Warlock?
What race? I'm going Orc.
I'm sorry, what race? Yeah,
I'm going Orc, dude. I'm going SL Warlock.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I like the stun resist a lot.
Nice.
And just the flavor of it too. You know, Gul'dan and shit. So.
Yeah, I think. I was gonna say lore-wise, there's nothing more badass than an Orc Warlock. I think.
Also, they look sweet. Their tier sets look sweet, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. The Warlock tier sets are amazing.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Their tier sets look amazing. They look amazing.
All right.
Yeah. I have a kind of different opinion on Warlocks, as you probably may have thought. But when I choose a class, I value like two things. First of all, the playstyle. And then, secondly, the fantasy. I like the playstyle in the sense that they have a lot of unique spells, very unique spells, probably the most of all classes. But I don't like the fantasy because I don't like dark classes. That's why, I don't like Undead either, and that's why I probably will never play Warlock, even though I tried, but I always get stuck at like level 16, 18. I don't know why. I don't like the dotting to level. I don't think you need to. I tried leveling as distro, but still, there's something with the Warlock I don't like, and it's probably on the bottom of my list. So it's pretty different from you guys.
It's cool. Yeah, it's good to get another perspective on it, man. Like some
that's kind of how I felt about them until I kind of started to appreciate them a lot more recently.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they are perfect, but yeah, I just can't seem to enjoy them.
You also are the hardest hitting class in both PvE with like Curse of Doom. You also are the hardest hitting potentially in PvP with like Soulfire and shit like that. Really amazing flavorful abilities like Summon Doomguard. You're dropping Infernals. Like, man, what is not to love with the Warlock, man? Like,
some asshole the other day was putting Doomguard in front of the Yeti Cave in Alterac Mountains and just leaving it there. So he would just leave it there, and everybody would go doing their quests. And all of a sudden, this Doomguard just comes chasing after him. They're like, I can't do my quest, so I would have to log onto my 60, go over there, kill it, and then he would summon another one, bring it over, and yeah. So he kept on doing it. I was like, what an asshole. But still, you can do stuff like that.
I remember what I was gonna say. Last point about Warlock, at least for me, is that a lot of these I'm into the PvP. I really enjoy the PvP. So a lot of these like important PvP items like Skull of Impending Doom, the rocket helm or whatever, like the gnomish or the goblin helm that like allows you to reset. These are things that you can naturally rock out, like their cloth head. Also, the offhand is good for Warlock. These are things that just naturally slot into the Warlock's kit really well, so I enjoyed that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
What class is next?
We got the. Let's. You guys want to pick? I feel like I'm just like putting my favorite.
No, just go with the. Whatever you got.
Let's go Shaman, dude. Let's go Shaman. I'm feeling Shaman
right
now. Let's go Shaman, dude.
You want to start this one off, Melderon?
Sure. Why do I play Shaman? I think that's a. Why does anyone play Shaman? So for me, it was a challenge to actually get used to how to play Shaman. When I first started, I was playing Warrior Mage. Death Knight was how my whole thing went during Warcraft until I started playing Shaman. And for me, the whole totem thing, I'll be totally honest. At first, I was like, "F this totem stuff, man! It's so convoluted. You know, why am I putting totems down? Why am I doing this?" Until I started to actually play it more, and I realized, you know, how to implement them in the right way. And now it's just second nature to me. I'm like, okay, hit my F key, my Earth totem goes down. Hit my R key, my Fire totem comes down. So a lot of it had to do with like setting up my mental map and key binding how those totems went down. But to me, there's so much variety in talent choice and in weapon choice, and then you have a further level of weapon enhancement. So for me, you have these multiple levels of variation that you can continue to expound upon, and that's why I still theorycraft Shaman. I'm working on a theory crafting project now. It's just like I just can't stop doing it because I'm so interested in their mechanics. Is basically what the reason why I love them so much. And then I also love their healing because their healing is very unique in WoW, to me at least. Chain Heal is the most, I'd say, arguably the most unique healing spell in the game. It's the only smart healing heal in the game as well.
Unique, yeah. True, smart heal in the sense that it almost has like an AI to it, right? It bounces. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
So, yeah, go ahead.
E-L-E-S.
In a lot of ways,
sorry.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, Shaman is like almost the same as a Paladin as by design. That doesn't mean they play the same, but they have the same goals, basically, like buffing and stuff.
You can tank heal DPS too, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
Tank heal DPS.
Except that that's me, of course. Except that I think that Paladin spells are more interesting than the Shaman spells. But like, for example, if you say those weapon enchantments,
like Bubble Hearth, or
weapon enhancements, whatever you call them.
Yo, was that?
If you compare them with
no,
like, Seal, if you compare them with Seal, it's I don't know. It's just a passive 5-minute buff, while a Seal is more interactive, in my opinion.
Yeah, so. And you know the problem that Shamans have obviously is the fact that you can only buff your party. You know, and that can be an issue. Yeah,
that's
but
an extra level of to me, that's another extra level the raid leader has to, and the Shaman class leader has to consider. It's more. There's more planning, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, there actually is, and that's why I like to say that Horde is hard mode and
Paladins is easy mode. Paladins is easy mode.
Oh, absolutely.
I would kind of agree in some ways. I have to say.
They can buff anybody they want.
You have so many shit buttons.
AFK by leveling with the Paladin, but in my opinion, you can AFK by leveling with the Shaman even more. So.
Yeah, I don't think you AFK as a ret, dude. I mean, even as a Paladin at any stage, like, you should be judging on cooldown if you're, like, in that early stage, and then later on you're AoE pulling. It's extremely dynamic, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it, planning out your little pulls, and managing the respawn times, and managing your cooldowns. And
I know Melderon can argue the same, though, for Shaman, with how he does his Earthbind kiting.
But I think AoE pulls are potentially on another level, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? Because it's the difference between AoE leveling
Shaman
and
really
single target.
AoE level.
That's what I'm saying.
That. So
well, you have one totem and one spell, right? They can AoE.
Well, you can chain lightning to start off, and then you have a magma totem. Other than that, like, how are you going to AoE? You don't have any consistent. You can keep putting down magma totem, or you can keep chain lightning, but you're going to suffer pushback from the chain lightning. So I don't know. Paladins are built, especially that protection spec. You're built to do that AoE leveling grinding thing. Shamans don't really have that.
Yeah,
Lambert donated $5 and says Pally sucks. Period.
Thank you, Lambert. Thank you for the $5, bro.
And he put his money where his mouth is.
Right? People agree with you, man. People agree with you. I do have to say, I think the skill cap is different, though. Like, Paladin seems easier to me upon first glance than Shaman. Like, I was talking to Egregious the other day. He said he had so many keybinds. All these totems you have to keybind and stuff. Like, you have so many totems. Like, Paladin, like, worst comes to worst, you just throw up the bubble and you just cast a little Hearthstone. You're just outie 3000 and you're fine.
No, but I'll be honest. So Paladins, PvP wise, have a lot more to do than a Paladin healing. Okay, so there's a lot more you have to consider if you're in a battleground as a ret Paladin or even as a holy Paladin. You know, but like, yeah, I agree. You're absolutely right. Like, you have to think, okay, is there a rogue near me? Should I drop Searing Totem?
Yeah.
You know, so like, there's so many different things you can do. Earthbind, you have to implement that, or do you need you know, Windwall Totem is a hunter coming towards you, which I've never personally used Windwall Totem, mostly because I just always forget about it.
That's Grounding Totem, you know.
Grounding, grounding. How did I forget about that? And you have to consider, well, Grounding's an Earth Totem. I can't use Earthbind, so you have to think, like,
I got to Frost Shock him and then use Grounding Totem,
or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So exactly. So you have to think really quickly about, can I, you know, what element am I using for my totem? And you have to think about that very quickly. You know, I'm placing this totem down. And you have to remember, it's an earth totem, not a fire totem, or a wind, or a air totem, or a water totem. You have to think, oh, then I can't use this totem. How can I counteract that situation?
Yeah.
So, that to me is why I love them so much. There's just levels upon levels of variation,
and their fantasy is really nice.
It is.
I love
their fantasy is amazing.
Very good.
And I feel like the Shamans almost have something for everything. Like they might
not forget Purge.
Yeah,
Purge.
Oh my God,
Purge is awesome, dude. Purge is awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like Shamans almost have like something ready for every scenario, which is really cool.
Built-in wipe prevention?
Built-in wipe prevention. You know, they can tank too.
Paladins have that too.
Not with themselves though. You can't wipe prevent yourself.
No, not with themselves. But they can DI. So, you know.
Yeah, true.
But
that requires another person that can res though, and that's something that sometimes a lot of times you don't have that, dude.
Shaman's just Ankh, and then
Yeah, you can do it yourself.
Yeah. I'm just saying the Paladins have a somewhat of an answer to that. But so Ankh.
I mean,
Ankh is very important. Absolutely, Ankh is can be the difference between life and death. Yeah.
what was I just saying? So like the ability to be able, and you guys check out Melderon's Shaman tanking video where he proved that shamans can do.
I didn't prove.
Well,
so proof is a mathematical term, so
right? But you have shown that shamans can tank, not in raid scenarios, but they can tank dungeons if you know what you're doing.
No, the problem with shaman raid tanking is that the first of all and foremost, there's no tier gear to supplement it at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So there's nothing that says, oh, your earth shock does more damage, right? No, there's nothing like that, right? So that's number one. Number two is that they don't wear plate. They don't have any active. They don't have active mitigation. They don't have an active taunt. So you have to think, if you, I say this so many times, if you come across a shaman that's willing to tank, 9 times out of 10 they've done their research.
They're going to be high
speed here to do it.
It's true, man. It's true. It's kind of the same thing with pally tanks too. Like it's well, I mean, maybe not as much, but like you're kind of the underdog, so you come in there like really like motivated.
Yeah. And I gotta be honest, like I have healed some amazing shaman tanks, especially in BRD. I did an amazing BRD run with Call Me Blue, his name was, and he tanked BRD, and I was healing him as if I was healing. It felt like a warrior tank who was in pre-raid BIS. It was that good.
I like how they scale, and also
aggro.
The general thing in vanilla too, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is the feedback I've been getting from all angles, is that towards the latter half of vanilla, spell damage, for whatever reason, maybe it's just the way itemization works, starts pulling ahead of like melee. Like some of the casters start just scaling better.
Yes.
And stuff like, dude, elemental shaman in PvP, like in part of a caster cleave or something like that. Like it seems really, really fun, that playstyle of just huge damage, huge numbers, like chain lightnings and just deleting kids. Like it just.
And they can do it all the time, which is like a 3-minute mage is every 3 minutes, but a shaman can produce that kind of damage.
If you forget about that shaman for a couple seconds, it's lights out, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean they're a lot of fun. I mean, like it's a shame personally that at least one of their DPS builds isn't raid not, I wouldn't say viable, isn't raid optimal, but still, I hope that I can one day be in a guild that they're going to be like, yeah, we'll take one elemental shaman. Why not? I mean,
we had an LE and an elemental in our guild, and they did pretty decent DPS. And we, of course, Nightfall, and but we had an elemental shaman who was also off healing when we needed it. So
yeah.
And he was doing some good numbers with healing and doing some good numbers with DPS. It's kind of like that thing where you're bringing something to the table. You're bringing your shamans to the group, for the totems. And this one shaman, if we had enough healers, he would go elemental, throw off heals if we needed, and do DPS. So there is, the place where, you could argue that, where they do have their place. But I think shamans, and I've really started to appreciate them a lot more the more I've got to know about them, the more I see how if you know how to play shaman, you can kind of be ready for any encounter and kind of counter anything that comes to you, as best as you can. When it comes to PvP, enhancement shamans are a lot of fun in PvP. So are elemental.
Yeah, they're not consistent, but they're fun to play. Yeah.
I saw some really good enhancement shamans. If you have a really good enhancement shaman, going against toe-to-toe some really well-geared rogues, who, a lot of rogues are able to, pull out that one shot, where you're just cheap shot, backstab, I'm talking about a dagger rogue with a cold blood eviscerate, and somehow the shaman turns around and basically one shots. I'm like, I've saw some pretty epic duels, and I'm sure with your PvP forum you've seen some pretty cool stuff.
It was probably Wind Fury crit and a Storm Strike. It was probably boom boom.
Yeah, and then an air shock.
Bang bang. So what is the gearing like on a shaman pre-raid bis and then into the tiers? Is it quick? Is it slow? Is it competitive? How competitive is it? Like,
it's pretty competitive.
Yeah.
For resto, I'm assuming you're talking about. So you share a lot of gear with all the other healers. What's the chest piece, Matt? That I'm forgetting.
From Robes of Exalted.
Yeah, from Baron Rivendare.
Baron. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mind Tap Talisman.
Double Mind Tap Talisman.
Yeah, you want double, which is hard to get because it's Dire Maul West.
Yeah.
And no one ever wants to run Dire Maul West. So it's like
Hammer of Grace from BRD.
From BRD.
Yeah.
So yeah, your period bis is very similar to. I mean, you and I and Discipula, we shared a lot of pieces.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So, but it's not it's not hard, I'd say, but if you're in a guild, it's going to be quick.
Especially if you're healing, you can, yeah, exactly. You're going to be healing the dungeon, and double mind tap talisman can be a pain in the ass, but we got pretty lucky with them. I think they dropped twice.
But Egregious, so if you guys haven't checked out on ClassicWow.live, Egregious has wrote a Classic WoW Restoration Shaman guide, and in that guide, he links his pre-raid he rates his BIST lists for all tiers. So if you want to know your BIST list for all tiers for Shaman, it's on ClassicWow.live underneath the rest of the Shaman guide.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, should we move on to the next one? Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah.
Dunedain, you want to put any...
No, maybe if I would play Horde instead of Alliance, I would probably play Shaman.
Nice.
Or Hunter.
Nice.
It's like my top 3. Paladin, Hunter, Shaman.
How cool do they look? That's the last thing. How cool does Shaman look?
Pretty cool.
I love the shoulders with the crescent moon and I had this picture of this guy. We had a wrench and a friggin' tinfoil on there. I think the tier looks pretty cool though. I like Shaman.
It's one of the better looking tier sets.
Yeah.
So tier sets.
It's nice. Cool. I just love walking around. I mean, and I think there's real quick. There's like 3 archetypes I think you can think of as a shaman. There's the Elder Shaman, which is more of the either elemental or resto. So that's kind of like the older shaman, the one who's learned a lot more about nature, about the ancestors. There's the warrior shaman who's walking around with a big 2-hander, Wind Fury crits, stuff like that. And then there's like the shaman protector, where you're heavy armor, shield, and a shield and dagger, or shield and a 1-hander. And those are the 3 archetypes that when I present my data and my theory crafting, I'll present them in those 3 ways. Like, what archetype do you want to play? That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll provide numbers to show you what's the most efficient, but at the end of the day, are you going to be happy playing that? So pick the archetype you want to play.
Yeah.
Dude, you make me want to play Shaman Melderon. The way Melderon breaks it down is so cool, dude. Yeah, it's so cool. I love that.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would play... I don't even know what I would play, man. All right. Let's see.
All right, what's next?
All right, Dunedain, you go, man. Vote. Which one do you want to do next?
Hunter.
Hunter. Okay.
Okay, Hunter. Here we go. All
Kargoz,
right,
that's you, baby.
that's me. I made it 3 times, man. I made Hunter. Leveling experience. It's very smooth sailing. You're super efficient at grinding. 1 to 10 is actually pretty quick. A lot of people think that 1 to 10 sucks as a hunter. I think it's actually very, very strong. As long as your clip, as soon as you get that, as soon as your auto attack goes off, you start strafing in a productive direction, loading up the next one. You're using like no resources to kill the mobs. They come within range. You should be 1 or 2 raptor strikes away from killing it at that point. You use very little resources to kill it. Some of the most annoying things while leveling is taming Broken Tooth and Lupos. That is actually a nightmare. It was probably my least favorite aspect of hunter leveling. Some of the negatives of hunter leveling is you don't bring like a super amount of utility if you're like duo leveling or something like that. Sometimes you feel like you're just built to be like a solo machine. But there's some cool finesse plays you can do, dropping bouncing threat back between your pet and yourself, using your pet to off tank. There's lots of cool flavorful pets in vanilla, and then you put out pretty good early in vanilla, like even going into MC. You do some pretty good damage. The pre-raid BIS is very competitive, though. It is very competitive. You're going to be sharing a lot of that stuff with the warriors and the rogues. You have to get the Devil Sore. You have to get Cape of the Black Baron. So it is pretty competitive. But great advantage to Hunter is your gold farming is really easy. You can do Dharmal runs. You can also do Maraudon runs, which is my bread and butter. And Maraudon, there's ways to kind of like even improve the Maraudon farm if you're like a herbalist or something like that. So you get fast gold. You're quick to 60. You can start funneling gear down to your other characters. Lockdalar, incredible quest chain. Like that alone right there is like a pretty decent reason to play Hunter. I think the tier sets look sweet. But yeah, I'll stop here. Let's get some other feedback.
Yeah, it's super convenient to level, and that's a big plus for me. If the leveling is boring, I tend to quit at level 20 or whatever. But with Hunter, you just keep going, and it's really, really good. The negative part, in my opinion, are the looks of the tier set. I don't really think they are that great, but that's yeah. I like the fantasy, I like the playstyle, I like everything, but the armor, basically.
Yeah.
I personally think they're the exact opposite of warriors in that warriors you have a lot of time input. You have a lot of time input, a lot, and at the end you're rewarded for that hard work. And honestly, in hunters, you don't have a lot of input in leveling, and you don't get rewarded at endgame. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
As far as PvE is concerned,
PvE,
PvP is a totally different story. But As far as PvE is concerned, I feel that about hunters, unfortunately.
The one thing, though, about hunters, which I do think a lot of people tend to like, is they do kind of have a fun, I don't know, you could maybe talk about this a little bit, Kargoz, but a lot of people said they like the style of play in endgame and your rotation. A lot of people, you know, say that there is.
I personally don't. You have to. It's an active rotation. I'll put it that way. It's not hard, but it's an active rotation. You have to be conscious during raids. You have to decide every couple seconds what version of your rotation you're going to use. The full version, the clipped version, pet management. If your pet dies, that's really horrible. You need to bug people to buff your pet. You're very active in raids. Some people like that. To me, I always envied the people that could scroll up on their mouse wheel. I always just because then you can put all your mental focus towards min-maxing consumables, whatever else you need, towards just making that one button more powerful. That to me, I always envied that. In PvP, the playstyle is really awesome. I have to say, you're very strong at World PvP, very very strong. Especially if you go
if you play a Night Elf.
Night Elf is really good on defense and on Alliance side. If you're in the flag room, you can go stealth with your pet. So like. In my opinion, it's potentially best in slot defense on the flag room. A lot of people put rogues in the flag room in Warsong Gulch. Being like a Night Elf Hunter with Shadow Meld is very strong, I think. But in World PvP, you know, just Viper Stinging, going in AV, just tab target Viper Stinging people, like super fun. You know, Viper Sting is just an awesome win condition, drains the mana. People start cleansing it. It is. And if they're cleansing it, you can just use rank 1 Viper Sting, try and use the least mana costing Viper Sting. Very strong. If you go to Intimidation Scattershot build, which you can go, that's like probably the best PvP build. You have so much control, and the dead zone isn't as much of an issue. I think
if you're fast enough, you can pick the name Legolas and go Night Elf.
Let me ask you something about Viper Sting, because as a priest, Viper Sting is my mortal enemy.
Yeah.
And I have gotten hit by level 15 hunters who are just running by and Viper Sting me, and I never seem to resist it.
They don't get it. You get it late, bro. You get Viper Sting late. It's what level do you get?
Or whatever level. Well,
it's late.
Level. I was in Hillsborough the other day, and a level 30-something hunter was attacking me as I was attacking at level 60, and he's just sitting there and it never resisted once. I don't know if it can be resisted or not. Just drained all my mana, and I wasn't even paying attention to him.
Yeah, it's.
I'm like, what a pain in the ass, little dick, running around fighting me while I'm fighting a friggin' a warlock, and he's just draining my mana.
Viper Sting is
How do you feel about the pets?
The pets, the tames, I don't like how you're limited to pets. Getting, I mean, there is some fun aspects of the pets. There's a lot to unpack there. So pretty much in vanilla, all the pets are balanced around a 10% modifier to damage, health, armor. There might be one more in there. So a lot of people say they see on Joanna's guide you want to go cat, right? Because cat puts out the most DPS. They have the 10% bonus to damage, but they do sacrifice some other things. There actually is a little bit more to Theorycraft there. Like, I think potentially if you want to go a little bit slower and steadier, but potentially even be more efficient in the long run, you can go with a more balanced stat profile, like getting a raptor or something like that, or even getting a more defensive pet on hand. You know, owls are great, the Bloodseeker bats. I guess the pets are cool, but having to tame like Lupos is a nightmare, I have to say, and Broken Tooth.
And do you think, I don't think Lupos, I think Lupos is way too overpowered. I think it's ridiculous, and I don't know how Classic's going to combat that, but I think they need to do...
Well, I have to ask something, because I know nothing about. Honestly, this class I don't know the least about. Is there a guide, or is there something you should be doing as far as like a pet taming schedule to get the right?
Definitely,
just go on safaris.
No, I have it on my hunter guide. Yeah, so pretty much you need to stay up to date with your beast training. So you need to stay up to date with the new ranks of your focus stumps, like claw and bite and stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of a cool aspect of it. I mean, feeding the pet's really not an issue to me. It's really not too big of a deal. I mean, having to when you get to 60, like get the thorium ammo crafted and buy and all that, it can be kind of a pain. But you know, gold isn't too much of an issue for you. I think they look really cool, being able to like dual wield and stuff and get Dalrens on a hunter and just like laughing at people while you have Dalrens and like, you know,
I sometimes wish there was a spec without a pet.
Yeah, I think that would be cool for vanilla. I know a lot of people like that as well. I myself like that in later expansions. But Melderon, just so you know, there are certain spells that you have to learn through certain pets, like charge.
That's what I mean.
Boars. Yeah. So you have to tame a boar to get charge. And then there are other spells that you get from certain beasts. So once you accumulate all the different beasts, you can train them to your pet, whatever pet you have. But you have to, you know, that's why you stable one pet. Go out on a safari to find a a boar, then you get charge, then you can go back, learn that charge, give it to your pet that you had before, and now he'll have charge. So
yeah, pretty much that's how it works. I kind of wish there was also two phases of normalization for pets in Classic, and a part of me kind of like wants to experience what it was like before the normalization. Before they had this thing called pursuit speed, so the different pets had different pursuit speeds, so there was a little more flexibility with the pets. Like you could get that raptor and the Barons attack the leaper, and he had a really high pursuit speed. He could catch someone on a mount that was 60%, and you know, there was just a little bit more like diversity with the pets, and I don't know why exactly they normalized it. I don't really remember. I learned about all this stuff like somewhat recently, but
it is interesting though. It adds another flavor to the class that otherwise, you know, would be probably a little dull. But you know, having the pets is definitely, you know, as far as you know, leveling and things like that. But you know, I think when at later game in PvP, and I think hunters are amazing at PvP while leveling. They're one of the best, just for the fact that your pet can kill.
Can solo people, yeah, can solo rogues and shit easy.
You know, and it's pretty amazing how you can run around in Stranglethorn Vale. You know, let's say as like as a night elf hunter in the shadows, you know, doing your quest, running with Aster the Cheetah, and whoever comes by, just stick your pet on them, and you're okay, you're good to go. So it's a very formidable class while leveling.
Yeah, there's some utility there with the traps and stuff too. Like you can pull into traps, you can pull into immolation traps, you can frost trap freezing traps. Yeah, I mean it's a fun class, guys, and I mean especially in PvP, like you can be really a badass in PvP. In BGs, you kill it.
Just one more question: how do you feel about the original survival builds, which was more melee oriented?
Oh, you're saying like once you get to the certain amount of agility or whatever, you go survival?
No, I mean before the revamp, where survival was actually a melee spec.
In vanilla? Oh, I don't even remember that, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
sounds. It was supposed to be melee spec. Yeah, that's why they actually changed it back later.
In
Legion they did that.
Yeah.
But one thing, if you look, like there is some like people, you know, it's a meme kind of for melee hunters. But you look at some of the good hunters like Time Cop and stuff. Like you actually weave in melee attacks while you're attacking.
Nightfall. I've seen a lot of hunters go Nightfall, and they have a melee hunter over Shaman.
They're much better. They're a much better procker than Shamans are.
Yeah, you can weave in real quick, throw in a Raptor Strike, get back out, start shooting again. Like so, you're actually using some melee attacks as a hunter. It's not like totally a meme. And then every weapon is a hunter weapon, so that's a great little perk of rolling a hunter.
Anything else to add?
That's it from my side, I think.
All right. What's
we
next?
Can probably go to Druid.
Druid? Ooh, I love Druid, dude. I love Druid.
All right. Leaving all the good ones for me.
Let me,
later.
I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Good ones. We had all the good ones.
Come on, we got Priest and Rogue still. What the hell?
We have Hunter, Druid, Paladin, Shaman. But Priest is nice. You're right.
You want to start off with Druid, Dunedain?
Yeah, I can do that. I play the Druid now in on private servers and played on retail sometimes as well. Druid, to me, probably Druid is the most interesting one to level because every 10 levels at the start, at least, you get something new. You basically start from with an entirely new class. And also, although it's only 1 or 2 buttons you start with, it's still something fresh. So it's something I really like. I always like the hybrid classes, and Druid is like the master hybrid. So Druid is also very high on my list, and that's because the playstyle is really nice, and the fantasy is also really nice. I tend to like the nature-based fantasies, which is why I like Druid and the Hunter, and the more protection-based fantasies like Paladin. So the main downside, I suppose, is that Druid is probably the worst in vanilla in all 3 specs. It's worst healer. At endgame, worst caster, worst tank, worst whatever. So that's the main issue. But their armor
worst tank
looks really nice.
Warrior, is that what you're saying? Like as a
it's not the worst tank, but it's definitely not the best one. But they're really interesting in PvP, like and a feral Druid, best flank areas as well.
I love the spec that dips into each, like you're a little bit feral, a little bit balanced, a little bit resto. I love that spec for PvP. I think it's amazing.
I love flex specs in vanilla in general, the ones that allow you to do everything. They really like. I do think vanilla excels in a sense. People really do like. There was a period of time where I actually felt this way too, maybe because I just didn't know that much. But I did feel like the hybrids suffered in vanilla. But I actually feel like they kind of shine in many ways because there are these high barriers towards respecking and stuff, dude. It is expensive to respec, and it's the type of thing where you're out in the open world doing something, and suddenly you have to go do something for a group, and you know there's just there's a lot of room for your flex spec to shine and
so
be valuable. So about druids. Tier 1 leveling speed, I love the leveling process on druids. It does tend to slow down. I've seen druids, they get to the mid-30s and they start to slow down. It gets a little bit boring for them. But it is really, really, I think, strong and fast. You have the most movement speed in the game. You have the most movement speed. I mean, shamans, they have Ghost Wolf, which is 40% as well, but they have to cast it, and druids just pop right into the travel.
Unless you spec into it. But
not to mention, even while indoors, you can
you still have to cast it though, even when you spec into it though, right? It goes down to 1 second.
Yeah, it's like
shaman.
It's like a really no, I think it's like a 0.5 second cast. It's really fast.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I mean, druids are instant. You also have aquatic form. I mean, if you're gonna get that while leveling, but that does give you some additional mobility there.
And cat form as well.
Cat form, you don't have to be out of combat. You're in combat, moving at 30% increased speed. So that's big. The 1 to 10 is a little bit slow, but then you get bear form, and bear form is awesome. You can tank heal a DPS as a druid. You know, you're gonna probably hit 60 before the warriors, so you can start forming groups and stuff and tanking. You can progression tank through Nax, proven by people like Talajil and stuff. You'll see them tanking patchwork, and you know, bears do have some kind of place in classic. There are some advantages with a bear tank over a warrior. You know, resto druids, lots of raid utility, healing over time. Even balanced druids, if you do a level with a warlock or something as a balanced druid, really fun.
Yeah.
Tier sets don't look that cool to me, but thankfully, because we're in vanilla and the gear looks kind of wonky, I think the animal forms kind of carry you harder. They kind of make you look a little bit cooler, the animal forms, than maybe like future expansions where people are transmogged out, like looking like crazy. Like, you can just look like a little streamlined, cool animal guy, which is, you know, kind of cool.
I think druids are definitely another underappreciated class. I think they have a lot to offer, especially in the leveling when it comes to what you can offer. And I think there's a lot of really cool things about druids that people kind of don't look at. Druids can tank almost, you know, and I think that's a big misconception. Is a lot of people say that, oh, only warriors are the main tank. Like, I have seen druid main tanks, and I have seen good druid main tanks. The problem is the gear, that kind of things, but later on they can replace a lot of that gear that they did have trouble with. So that is something to consider if you are wanting to play a druid and tank end game. It is possible. You know, you don't have to think that it's just going to be warrior or nothing. You can be an off tank. There also are some fights that druids really are amazing at, and there are some fights that druids aren't that good at. But I definitely am an advocate for saying that druids can be a main tank, and you know, probably won't, you know, unfortunately be looked at like that by a lot of people. But if you know what you're doing, you know, you can kind of prove your worth. They are amazing tanks while leveling, however, and for dungeon tanks, they are amazing. I've actually seen a lot of really good druid healers as well that have kind of surprised me with just using healing touch and not even using their hots. And I've seen
it's just way harder as a druid because your cast time is so much higher than the paladin. So
yeah. But you can down rank and your cast time goes up, but your spells, of course, don't do as much healing. But yeah, I have actually been really surprised, you know. And then of course you have Innervate, which is, as a priest, my best friend. So I make really good friends with my druid partners. So I make sure they always do
feral damage is good while leveling too. While leveling, they're the best in slot tanks. Cat DPS, while you're just shredding stuff from behind, does 225% damage. You actually do like very solid damage in groups. You can like throw off heals on. Off heals are very important when, in my opinion, when doing the dungeon groups, because stuff can go wrong and you can kind of like go back and forth, like going and letting spirit-based mana regeneration tick. Also, PvP, best in slot flag carriers. They're also best in slot spinners in Arathi Base and IMO. Some people would put rogues there at Goldmine. We've been talking about this on the PvP panels, but I don't know. I think while rogues may have some advantages in like backcapping and going to make a big play in backcap, druids can keep people occupied with like Moonfire or whatever, dancing around, spinning the flag in Arathi Basin a lot longer than like a rogue or something like that. So I still think they have a place in AB. You gear up really fast on a druid. That's one of like the fastest gearing classes. So that's kind of good.
And their tier sets drop like every boss. So
yeah, I know, right? Oh my god, what is it with that? It's always Druid here for some reason. Always Druid.
But isn't the problem with Druid tanking raids that you cannot get defense capped?
Well, the problem is, I think there is a way. I don't know if I have to talk to Taladrill about that, but I think there is a way that he was. I don't know if he was defense capped or close to it, but I know that he had something. I have to look at his guide and look at it again, but he had some ways of working around that and kind of making it so that it wasn't. I don't know if he was. He might have been defense capped actually.
Damn, dude, we're almost up to 200 viewers right now across both. I just want to say thank you to everybody watching, man.
Yeah, guys, thanks for watching.
Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Yeah, Druids, if you like to be an underdog, if you want to be like, if you want to work, you're gonna have to work harder as a Druid. And a lot of the preconceptions about the different classes are going to be based around like pre 1.12. Like a lot of people say 1.12 is one of the most balanced patches ever. I've heard that said a bunch of times, and that classes like Warlocks and potentially Druids, they struggled a lot early vanilla before 1.12. But 1.12 is pretty balanced, I think, right? And
yeah.
You're gonna have to work harder on a Druid. You're gonna have to do your homework. If you want to do Feral, you're gonna have to go farm those no Mergon maces. You're gonna have to go do stuff.
If you want to DPS, yeah.
I think I made a point, maybe in the first episode, that I think that Druids were in a better spot before 1.12. But
yeah, but after the
so
rework and before 1.12, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. So Druids get close to defense cap, but not quite.
Yeah, but there's a lot of theory crafting that's been done on Druid tanking specifically, and
and check out Taladrill.
So guys, if you want to tank as a Druid, it's definitely not. I mean, Warriors are always going to be a little bit ahead of you because they have more damage mitigation in the form of block, stuff like that. They can block crushing blows, but Druids can do most encounters in the game. It's been done. People have already done it. It's not impossible. You can definitely do it.
You have more armor and health, right?
You do, and
you take more damage.
Generation.
You take more damage, but
more damage, but you do have more threat generation. Yeah. And a lot of healers will say, including myself, they prefer healing Druids most of the times because the damage reduction is steady.
It's very steady.
It's not spiky dungeons like Warriors, especially in dungeons. Raids could be a different story, but
raids is the other way around. In dungeons, you're right.
And yeah, in raids the other way around, yeah. And also Warriors do have the oh shit button, of course.
Also, Druids better AoE tanks. Better AoE tanks. Their threat table is multiplicative instead of additive. So I don't know exactly how the TPS maths out.
Throw some hots on yourself before you run in there. You know that's always a great way to add some threat on the initial pool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Druid tanks have a lot to offer, but if you guys want to tank as a Druid, check out Taladrill's guide on Classic. I believe, but also check out his.
Well, he's got two Discords. So you can get through that through. Go to our dev
just
talk.
Message us. Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you good?
Yeah.
No. I'm just go ahead. Yeah. I'm saying you can message us. We'll link it to you. It's Druid Classic and Taladrill's Theory Crafting Discord.
Oh yeah. But it's also on the dev talk. The Taladrill dev talk we did with him. The links are in the description.
But he is probably one of the most. He has so much knowledge when it comes to not even just Druids, but all classes.
There's a question from Tobias in chat about Resto Druids bringing unique spells or unique buffs. And someone says it proves Mark of the Wild, but any Druid can take that. But what I want to say is Druids before 1.12, before the remake, they had a unique spell. And now they don't have it anymore. They still have it, but they don't need to spec 31 points in it. Yeah. So that's why I would say before the remake they were probably in a better spot.
Interesting.
Which is weird to think
you also offer battle res to the table, which is really nice.
That's true.
Just as a druid, yeah. But as a resto druid, you definitely have a lot of raid helpful things like Innervate, like battle res.
You have the most mana efficient healing in the game, rank 4 healing touch.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. Well, Paladins, if you crit, man, nothing's more mana.
Oh, really? If you crit? I always heard that thrown around though. Rank 4 healing touch.
Because if they crit, it's 100% mana efficient. There's no mana cost.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So Maxwell Fun has a good question. I came in the middle of this talk, and so you may have discussed this. But what is the best Druid DPS for raids? And it's true that Feral is correct. However, you want to become the height of Feral DPS, you have to learn how to power shift.
Yep, power shifting is the name of the game.
There's actually really good guide.
Interesting items which help.
helm
like,
of
right.
the
yeah.
And just
On
to
Classic
explain
Wild
power
Live,
shifting
there's
for
a
1
guide.
second to the people,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's pretty much you can generate additional resources by shifting into form with the talent Furor, and I think there's that headpiece or whatever. So like when you go into cat form, you're like generating more energy. Like so that's the power shifting. You're like actively shifting in and out of forms.
Yeah, and it uses a lot of mana, so you need a lot of mana pots, things like that. Because of course.
But Shadow, that Druid Tank Theory Crafter or Druid Theory Crafter, there's you can go to his YouTube channel or on ClassicWoW Live underneath our videos section. His videos on there, how to power shift. So it's very, very informative.
Yep, and he top DPS, and he has some videos where he's top DPSing and BWL and stuff. Like, you're gonna have to work hard, but if you want to, and I think Druids are awesome in Classic, guys. Like seriously, man, like
they really are. They're underappreciated as well, I think.
Yeah. All right, should we go next? Let's go next.
Yeah, what's next? We got 3 more. Right?
All right, Def. I don't think you picked one, man. What you pick?
Let's do Priest. Let's go ahead and do Priest.
All
right,
nice.
Priest. My all-time favorite class.
So okay, here we go.
The Priest offers, if you guys don't know, of course, you have 3 specs: Discipline, Holy, and Shadow. Leveling, you're going to primarily roll Shadow, as well as you can do Disc, you can do Holy, but Shadow is probably the fastest way to level. The name of the game is Dot and Wand. It's very simple, but it's also very mana efficient. With Shadow Weaving, you can basically have up mana at all times with a good amount of spirit. So priests are very good levelers. I think tier 2 you can consider them, right, Kargoz?
Yeah. I consider them tier 2. They're very like consistent and very, very steady levelers, man. Tier 2 levelers. They go pretty quick.
And the thing a lot of people don't realize is, like, so mana, of course, mana is the name of the game, trying to conserve mana, but there are a lot of ways that you can go about doing that, where a lot of people like to, bubble themselves and then pull with, like, a Mind Blast, Dot, and then Wand. You actually can just use, like I said, Psychic Scream rank 1 to just, like, fear the mob away. You don't really want to use, like, Mind Flay and stuff like that till later on in the game, but I think, Shadow Priests are really great levelers. They offer a lot of PvP versatility when you get Blackout, Silence, Improved Psychic Scream. Shadow Form offers 15% decreased physical damage and 15% increased shadow damage. And like we said, if we want to pair that up with a Warlock, you get the Shadow Weaving and can do 15% more shadow damage to all targets. So you pair very well with Warlocks and a lot of other classes too, especially when you get your Vampiric Embrace and can give the healing back from doing damage. So that's something that's also really well. The great thing about Priest is you can heal just as good as any other healer while leveling a Shadow. You still have all the great, amazing healing spells like Renew, like you have so many heals. You have Lesser Heal, Flash Heal, Greater Heal.
Priests have. Do you think priests have the most offensive capabilities as a healer while leveling?
Yes. You have a lot of options. You have heal over time. You have a group heal. You have Lesser Heal, Greater Heal.
Did you say offensive?
Heal.
Offensive, yeah. I'm saying while dungeon leveling and stuff, I've noticed that priests are able to weave in a lot of damage. I don't know, it could be wrong. I'm just.
Oh, do you mean while they're actually healing?
Yeah, like while you're healing, like somehow the priests are throwing up some Shadow Arcanes, they're wanding and stuff.
Well,
I don't know, man, because I throw Wind Fury on my staff and just start Wind Furying mobs while I'm healing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I would also, especially when I'm doing dungeons and I know that I'm like, especially if I'm leveling a Shadow, I'll always try to get that last hit to proc my Spirit Tap, you know what I mean? Because it's really nice. Yeah. So I'll, you're putting out some mana out there, yeah, but you're going to be getting so much mana back from Spirit Tap. And if you have a good amount of Spirit, like for a Priest, I really recommend stacking Spirit because you're getting a lot more Spirit when you get Spirit Tap. It's like 100% of that Spirit increase. So it's insane the amount of mana you can get back and how much you will never have to drink if you do it correctly, and can still do a decent amount of damage.
Defcamp, by the way, someone asked who that druid was that you saw was near defense capped. Do you know who it was?
Near where?
It was Taladrill, right?
Near defense capped.
Oh, Taladrill. Yeah, I don't know what his druid's name is, though. I don't know if Taladrill.
Oh, okay.
On the druid that he played on, and then it wasn't on Northdale either.
If you're interested in druid tanking, listen to their Def Talk with him. He also did a countdown to classic episode, and that was the one where I found out about Taladrill for the first time. That guy is like insanely knowledgeable. Like the go-to man, so.
Oh yeah.
He's also in the management core of ClassicWoW Live as well.
Of course,
yep.
So. Easy plug. But also priests. they look really cool. The tier sets are awesome, and Benediction, Anathema, Benediction.
Exactly. I was gonna say you have probably one of the coolest quest lines ever, which is Benediction Anathema. I mean, guys, you know, you get basically what you do is you get the you have the Heart of Shadow, and then the Heart of Dark, the Heart
Eye Divinity.
Eye Divinity. I don't know why I said the Heart of Darkness, and the Eye of Shadow. With the Eye Divinity, when you equip that, there's an NPC that you can actually see, and you have this really cool quest where you have to save these dead villagers from you know, dying again, basically, and you have to fight these undead. There's some really cool ways and how to get around that. Like if you get Stratholme Holy Water, Immolation Aura, there's a lot of really cool ways to be able to do that quest. But it's so much fun, and it offered something really unique for the class. But priests, I mean, they're amazing at PvP. Especially, and they're amazing levelers, especially when you go in and get improved wand, so your wand is doing more damage. But when it comes to endgame healing, especially on the horde side, I would argue that priests have no other competition, especially not shamans. But
I've seen I've seen some data that shows the opposite, shows the difference of that.
Well,
you haven't seen raid fights?
No, I will say certain fights where the melee is positioned certain ways, but on most fights, priests do come out on top, usually.
Priests have the most options to solve the healing problem.
I'm sorry, the shaman. I'm sorry.
they also have two of the coolest abilities to me. The obviously mana burn I think is awesome, and mind control, dude. I love mind control. I don't know if it's a meme or not, but it's just so cool.
People don't realize how much you can do with mind control. Like I was leveling enchanting, and going through Oldham, you have to, you know, of course, usually get a group to go to the enchanting trainer. Well, I was able to just mind control all the mobs, kill them with mind control, and get all the way to the enchanting trainer using Holy Nova at the end to kill the scorpions at like level 40 something. So mind control is very, very strong, especially in dungeons. You can do as much damage as a lot of those mobs, you know what I mean? Because you just mind control them. There's some really cool buffs that you can actually steal while mind controlling. Like from Ubers, you can get the fire resistance buff to go and do Ragnaros with. That helps a lot. Priests offer so much utility. They offer so much cool stuff. You know, what other class can you mind control off a cliff and make them kill themselves, or mind control off the boat like I have many times at Booty Bay and make them want to kill themselves? So. Yeah, I mean, priests, I think, are so much fun. They're the quintessential healer, right? But you also have this really cool thing to play with, which is Shadow. It's amazing in PvP. It is melt your face, just so much fun. Yeah, I think priests, for me, are they just answer the call of being that amazing healer. They also are amazing at PvP, which is like, for me, I love the PvP.
What does the pre-raid base look like for priests? Is it competitive?
Pre-raid base. So yeah, it's very as a healer, it's pretty much competitive. You're going to be getting a lot of your gear from DM, of course, Padres, things like Padres. You get your gloves from BRD, from the. I mean, I can go through the whole pre-raid if you want me to, but yeah, that's a lot. Of course, you know, your headpieces, the Halo, the one that's a BOE. I forget the name of it right now.
So are healers pretty even as far as gearing up is concerned? Are they pretty like
very similar?
It's very similar, especially because, you know, a lot of people are going after cloth. I would recommend getting tailoring as a priest and then dropping it just to get your robes, your mooncloth, the True Faith vestments, which give like they're equivalent pretty much to tier 2, so they give like plus 70 something healing. They give, I think, 6 or something MP5, plus they reduce the cooldown of your fade by like 2 seconds. So True Faith vestments are basically equivalent to like tier 2 to tier 2.5. Really good. You can pick up your bracers from the tier 1 bracers are great, or otherwise you're going to be getting the bracers because there are some pieces as a priest that you will be fighting against DPS, like the bracers, the ones from DM North. Other than the tier 1 bracers, there really aren't any that many good healing bracers. And then shoulders are a problem for a lot of for priests as well, because there aren't that many plus spell damage or plus healing shoulders until later on in like 1.10 when BRD got re-rolled and they came out with the Scarlet shoulders, whatever. So yeah, basically like the best shoulders are the tier 1 ones, which give like plus 9 healing. They're not that great, but Priests are.
What about the Boreal Mantle? Isn't that plus
that's
like
later?
Yo, just real quick, I just want to shout out Sage Finn real quick. Yo, he just subscribed with a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you for giving my Twitch a shot. My Twitch is very small. Shout out all 20 of you watching in Twitch right now. Thank you so much, guys, for giving it a shot. Thanks, appreciate the sub, man. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, the thing about like priests, you're going to be getting, of course, Hammer of Grace, but then once Benediction comes out, you'll be getting that staff, while everyone else will still be having Hammer of Grace, that shitty little one-hander from BRD. You'll have that amazing staff. So, yeah,
I would keep tailoring, man, because it keeps good in TBC.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, I drop it, I get herbalism, and then I pick up tailoring in TBC, because tailoring in TBC is way better than it is in. I mean, because you get 1 piece in vanilla, you get 3 pieces in TBC.
And speaking of TBC, priests are insanely good in TBC, and they have the nicest gear set, like tier 5.
Oh yeah,
tier 5, right?
And
with the hood,
yeah, tier 5. Don't forget disc, guys. Disc is amazing. Especially, I actually go disc in very early. As soon as I hit level 60, I go disc, just to get power infusion, because it does so much to help the casters damage power infusion, and you're very limited in what gear you can get before tier 1, so you don't have a lot of intellect. So you might as well go into discipline, get that 10% extra intellect from mental strength or mental agility, one of those two, and you have way more intellect. And at that point of the game, having that much intellect is more important, because you don't have that much spirit. So spiritual healing is not that important as it is until you start getting more spirit in tier 1. So I would actually say go ahead and go disc first as soon as you hit 60. Then you start once you start gearing up. You can go ahead and go the holy hero spec.
So is it fun playing a priest? You love it?
Absolutely, I absolutely love it. I don't know if I went on a little. Sorry.
Oh, no problem, man. The passion, the passion runs deep, like all of us.
Dunedain brought up a good point, real quick. Tier 5 is the best tier ever created.
Oh yeah, rogue
by far.
Rogue, priest,
like tier 2 of Paladin. They are both the best.
Okay, yeah. So no, what I mean is like across all classes.
Yeah.
Like
I even like the hunter tier 5 and
warrior tier 5 is great.
I mean, tier 2 of all classes and tier 5 of all classes.
Shaman tier 5.
Tier 2 and tier 5
3,
are
though.
some
What about
of the
tier
best
3,
sets.
man?
What is the
Tier
worst
3.
looking set in the game? Real quick.
2.5.
Worst looking.
No, Druid tier 1. Druid tier 1.
Is that the moose one?
Druid
I'm trying to
tier
remember.
1? No.
Is that the moose?
It's so weird.
Well, are we talking pre-change tier? Because pre-change tier 2 was fucking nasty. But then
If
they changed
2.5 is a set, then 2.5 for warriors is really awful.
Tier 1 for Paladin is pretty awful too, dude. The banana spalders and the weird looking head. I don't know, dude. Those are pretty sketch.
I think it's okay.
Tier 3 Warlock's pretty badass, like the Shamans.
Yeah, tier 5 Warlock, tier 5 Shaman, the Cataclysm set. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Shamans have cool gear, I have to say. Yeah. All right,
tier
let's
5
go.
Hunter was cool too. All right, so
Dunedain, which class next, bro?
Or did I cover it all?
Just about the priest, because Defcamp was talking all the time.
Oh, just about priest. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, you noticed that, Dunedain?
Yeah. Well, leveling a priest is somewhat like leveling a warlock, except I love leveling a priest and I can't level a warlock, which is probably because I can help people, and that's basically why I always loved the priest, and that I think it started with a message of Blizzard on their original forums or their original website. They said like, if you pick a priest, other people will love to play with you, and that's something that just it kept me it made me play priest back then, and I rolled it for the Burning Crusade. I never played it after that, but that sentence really describes what a priest is. Other people love playing with you, and that's something which is
I have to say that priests should rightfully be the top healing spec in my opinion. I mean, classically, this class fantasy, the Dungeon Dragon tabletop stuff, priest is it. Priest, cleric, whatever you want to call it.
Class that has two healing specs.
Yeah, it has 2 healing specs. They should be the top healing class.
That's true.
Yeah.
The only downside is you should keep your kids away from them. Other than that, they're really good at playing.
Yeah, dude, priests are awesome, man. Priests are great.
Yeah. Very funny.
So we can go to what, the rogue?
Mage or rogue? Mage or rogue? What do you want to do?
What do you feel?
It sounds like Kargoz is saying rogue for last because I know that's his least favorite.
Dude, rogue is least favorite. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go off on rogues. I'm just.
All right, let's do rogue then. Come on, let's. I'm
gonna go off though. I don't think you guys
mage.
are prepared. It's gonna be that feels bad man moment. Let's go mage. Let's go mage.
Let's do mage first. Then,
okay, let's go mage.
We didn't do warrior, did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
do
we did. Oh, we didn't do.
No, we
warrior.
didn't.
We didn't do warrior.
We're just like.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We talked about how hard it was to level.
No, did we? No, I don't think we did. That was just an interjection, was it? Was warrior first? Let me see.
I don't know.
No, we started with Paladin. We went Paladin, then we went Warlock. We went
okay,
Paladin,
well, let's go
Warlock.
over Mage and Warrior real quick.
Yeah.
Mage, guys, yeah. Mage is by far, you know, the quintessential AoE spec. You're using your Frost, your Fire, your Arcane. As far as leveling, Frost just has so much control, right? I mean, the name of the game with mages and also rogues a little bit is control. You know what I mean? You have polymorph, you have your freezes, you have your slows, you have your ability to blink away from targets. Mages is all about that control, whether it's in PvP, whether it's in PvE. Mages can do a lot of damage in PvP. I'm sorry, in PvE. You know, even if you're just a Frost Mage, you know, starting off, you're still going to be doing a lot of damage. It's great because you're a caster, so you're not dealing with the melee, all the craziness. You can offer the two amazing things, which is food and water. Being able to bring that utility to dungeons and just offering that to people. You can teleport, you can make portals. You have a lot of utility to offer as a mage that really isn't so much in the fight, but it's kind of extra stuff, kind of like extra stuff, you know, bringing the food, bringing the water, bringing the portals, but also being able to do some amazing CC with polymorph, and also being able to do amazing damage and AoE damage.
Yeah, okay. The name of the game is Control, you say? That's true if you are a Frost Mage, but for me, the Mage Fantasy is more like the brilliant, the brilliant guy, or the high damage bursting guy, and that's something I kind of miss when playing a Frost Mage, and you're basically forced into a Frost Mage for the first raid, first two raid tiers. So I would love to play like that fancy of that highly powerful mage, like the Arcane Mage, but I just can't do that, and that's something I dislike about the Mage. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I leveled a mage to 60 Alliance side actually on Lightbringer, and I had a blast, man. Like every dungeon you're needed, you have a job, you have to sheep, you have to provide food and water. Everyone loves to see you come into the instance portal. Leveling was so breezy for me, man. Easy as hell. You're just like, you have constant food and water at your disposal.
It's extremely convenient as well. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then end game farming was like, I had everything I needed. Everything.
Mage is
at the wahoo.
Yeah.
I'm with Melderon here. So it's a slow start on a mage, but AoE grinding, I find it extremely fun and dynamic, being able to push yourself, see how much you can pull. It is so much fun. You're pretty gear independent. You know, you have this hard CC polymorph that you can just use all the time. People always want a mage in the group. Like pretty much any tier 1 dungeon like group, everyone's best in slot dungeon group is always going to include a mage, potentially 2 mages, because it's so good. The AoE potential is nutty, dude. And duo leveling with multiple mages, the AoE potential, the PvP, you have so much finesse. You're a playmaking class if you play a mage. You are a playmaker, dude. And
it's
PvP...
probably personal that I don't like Frost. I would love Fire and Arcane, but yeah, you're forced into Frost. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of thing, for me personally, I'm not the strongest leveler when it comes to knowing all the quests in the game and weaving them together. I'm better at putting my head down and going, this is my XP per hour, this is the time I need to make right now, and I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to crank on where I am and optimize grinding. So that's my style of leveling. So some people that are super into, you know, finding all the quests and weaving them elegantly together maybe wouldn't prefer the mage playstyle while leveling. But for me, AoE grinding is so much fun, guys. And then obviously the food, the water, the portals. The armor sets look terrible, though, to me. I'm sorry, they look pretty terrible to me overall. Not a fan of the armor sets that much.
It gets better in BC.
It gets better in BC.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in
Tier 3 is nice, isn't it?
Tier 3.
Yeah, Tier 3 is not bad. Yeah.
I gotta look it up. But in PvP,
this up a little bit. Just let me a heads up.
Okay, we'll speed it up. We'll speed it up. So in PvP though, like Warsong Gulch, you make massive plays. You and the Druid as the flag carrier, and you are like making a big tempo push together. In AB, where a lot of the PvP people were saying that one of the most critical aspects to success is the mages at the choke points, trying to slow people down. Having the mages at the choke points is really important.
Yep.
Mages are playmakers, rank 14 potential. They're flashy, big damage, PvE, PvP. Great class. I don't know.
Tier 1, both PvP, PvE.
Yep.
All right. We talked a little bit about warriors already, so why don't we go ahead and finish them off?
Finish warriors off? All right, we can go warriors. Let's go warriors.
Why don't you start with the Melderon?
Warriors are like buying a house. Okay, you go see this house, and it's like it needs a lot of work, right? But you have this vision in your mind what the house is going to look like at the end of it, right? So you go into the house. Maybe your girlfriend or your wife, she's bitching and complaining the whole time. She's like, "This house looks like horrible. This is gonna come out." And you're like, and you're just kind of like, "No, listen. I have a vision. This is what it's gonna look like." And you walk in there, you put the time and effort into it, you fix it up, and you make it a beautiful house. That's a warrior.
Yep.
Right there. Dockin, what do you think? Is that a good explanation of what a warrior is? Warriors
have the highest potential for DPS. They have the highest potential for tanking. PvP, they are amazing, especially if you have a healer. They are very difficult when they're on their own leveling, but at endgame you will be very rewarded. But the only thing is you're going to be fighting rogues.
The biggest downside of a warrior, I will come in a left field right now, is if you value being self-reliant and being able to 1v1 people yourself, to be able to just do your own thing, if you value that, warrior may not be the class for you. Pretty much in every aspect of the game, you're going to be greatly, dramatically enhanced by having a person there with you. So for me personally, I prefer classes like warlocks and hunters and stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely what you guys are saying. Also, 1 to 60 on a warrior is a rite of passage. It's the hardest class undoubtedly to level. But there are ways of navigating that space well, and that in the latter levels, like once you have your sweeping strikes, once you have sweeping strikes, whirlwind, cleave, mortal strike, all that, you will actually level pretty quick, probably faster than some potential classes. I think even potentially faster than a rogue. I mean, I just shit on rogues like all day, every day. So we'll talk about rogue in a second.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Anyway, tier sets look amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
I mean,
as Rough Rider said, having the right friends as a warrior can make
absolutely
absolutely. Yeah.
And another thing is like actually I think Mizoto actually did a video about this. Is like you have to realize that you have a lot of potential. You don't have to be prot either, but if you're like during endgame and everyone's looking for tanks. Everyone's looking for tanks. Yeah. If you're good at and you're comfortable at tanking and you have that shield, you can make a lot of money just by doing that. You can farm I would actually farm your tanking set first and then worry about your period DPS, because you're going to be doing so many dungeons. And it's a good way of kind of keeping yourself active, and I don't know. I just think that's a really good way of playing. And I think, Doc, and you love prot as well, so I think for me, the class fantasy is prot all the way. I mean, I love warrior DPS, but like prot is just so good. I just
gotta say, warrior DPS is so strong. It is. I mean, nothing really compares.
Even at MC, people always said that early on that they would struggle, right? But MC wasn't all the highest parses warriors and stuff. No,
usually, yeah. I mean, as soon as you get like pre-rate BIS as a warrior, you should be doing like. I mean, mages are going to be combatant if you have certain things in the beginning, but it depends, where certain things are in the game, debuff slots, things like that. But warriors just have so much to offer with giving so little. Like you have deep wounds on the target, and like there's not many debuff slots going on there. You know what I mean? They just have so much to offer. They just hit so hard, and it's a lot of fun for a lot of people.
Yep. Just one thing, tanking is extremely stressful to me. Is it for you guys as well?
As a warrior?
Yeah.
To me,
it used to be. It used to be. Yeah.
As a paladin, no sir. As a paladin, no sir.
Just do damage, right?
Throw up that consecrate.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe judge a righteousness or two.
Yeah, but dude, the problem with paladins, what if somebody pulls off you? What are you gonna do?
But they shouldn't, bro. You generate some insane threat. You generate some insane threat. You can just pop them 3-minute pop.
You're underestimating pugs. I think.
I don't know. It's been a breeze. It's been a breeze on. I mean, druids too. Just with swiping stuff and the multiplicative threat. I don't know. But on a warrior, I will say I do find it stressful. Yes.
If you're a natural leader though, and you like to lead, it might be the class for you. A lot of people who like to lead, raid lead, kind of gravitate towards warriors because they are kind of you know, the leader in a way, that they are, you know, they're the guy that everyone looks to for, hey, what are we doing? Are we going to do it this way? We're going to do this way? Well, let's ask the main tank. You know what I mean? So warriors can definitely have that leadership role pretty well.
And think about it this way: if it's your second character and you can just dungeon mob tag it to 60 for the most part, then you're reducing the leveling side from it a lot. You know what I mean? So if you can funnel gear and gold down to it, or if you just want to dungeon tag it, like, then you're removing one you know, big problem sort of. Gear dependent though, gear dependent, and the most competitive tier of pre-raid BIS. You know, you need all the same shit as everybody else. So
absolutely.
All right, should we go next?
All right. Before you shit on rogues, let me say some good points about them.
Oh God. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Is there some? Oh man, let me hear it. Okay.
Yeah, there is. Okay. Just like with the mage, with the rogue, it's all about control. And you name the game, right? You control when you attack, who you attack, what you attack. It's all in your time as a rogue. When other classes, you have to worry about aggroing, getting too close to this mob, getting too close to that mob. When you're on a rogue and you're fighting for, say, oh, you have to go to the end of this cave and kill this one guy. Well, you're gonna watch this hunter, this stupid druid, this stupid rogue,
druids can do the same thing.
Oh, I was just naming other classes. I forgot about druid for a second. So, the stupid warrior, this stupid shaman is running around, right? And they're like, oh, we got to kill this whole cave and then get the guy in the back. When you're as the rogue, just stealthing on through, going to pick up the thing, and then, oh, you pulled a mob, let me just vanish and run away. So the name of the game when it comes to rogue is like controlling what's going on, right? You really have the choice as to what you're going to attack. Am I going to engage? Am I not going to engage? So you really have a lot of choice when it comes to rogue. And there's some really cool things you can do. Poisons, I think, is really cool. Lockpicking, I think, is pretty cool. You have a lot of, you know, unfortunately in vanilla, you really can't use sap unless you have improved sap, which still only gives you 90%. What was that? I thought I heard something.
I heard that too. I don't know. Stop me.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
Somebody's blown on their.
Try and defend the rogues. Try and defend the rogues. Make a case for the rogues. Dude.
Okay. So we're talking about leveling.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that was your cat.
That was your cat.
Oh my God.
What are you doing to your cat?
Cat doesn't like rogues, huh? Okay. So the other thing with rogues too is, you know, as combat, you can still fight, you know, 2 mobs at once. You can pull up blade flurry. What's the I'm drawing a blank right now with evasion, and you can do pretty good. I mean, you definitely want to have you have to have first aid as a rogue, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the ability to be able to choose when you're going to fight something and not have to encounter, and being able to vanish when you need to get out of certain engagements is really powerful. In PvP, there is no other class that has the capabilities that rogues have. You can pretty much dominate any fight if you know what you're doing as a rogue. And I'm sorry to say that, but it is true.
Woo! It's about to go down!
Mages.
No,
Alright, here we go. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hold me back, coach.
If you know how to fight a mage, you can destroy a mage. Whether if you have nets, if you catch the mage right after he blinks and give him a stun lock after that. Not to mention being able to open up on a mage when he has no idea about it, hitting him with one ambush, using a Thistle Tea and a backstab.
Okay, yes. I'm talking about a duel scenario.
Okay, in a duel scenario as well.
Can I go in? Can I go in? Can I tap in?
All right. Well, let me talk about endgame for a second. Endgame, you offer a lot of DPS. Not as much as a melee warrior, but I mean, I have seen some rogues go neck and neck with warriors. I personally love dagger rogues. Combat sword rogues is a lot of fun, especially if you're a human. You're going to do more damage if you're a human with swords. I think dagger rogue is the way to go. Myself, I love it, especially in PvP. Cold blood eviscerate is, you know, with 5 combo point cold blood eviscerate, you can pretty much just destroy any clothy, including mages. A lot of leather wearers, a lot of mail wearers, and against a warrior, all you have to do is use your crippling poison and just slowly back away where he can't charge you and you're in his dead zone, so to speak. And there's a way to control any fight as a rogue. I don't care what class you are. If you know how to play a rogue well, you can control any fight. You can not fight when you don't want to. You can run away and re-stealth. You can vanish. You can wait until someone pops their CDs and just vanish, run away, come back when you least expect it. I'm sorry, but if you're a good rogue, I think you can dominate any fight.
Just before you go in, Kargoz, just before you go in, I actually really considered playing a rogue. There's just two downsides for me. One, their armor sets are, well, I don't like them. Only tier 2 is not okay. And two, it's a dark class. It's like a warlock. Yeah.
And I will say, you know, remember Portal Roguecraft.
I don't think they're necessarily a dark class, though. I think that's how you rate your backstory. I think.
Yeah, probably. But it's hard for me.
Like SI7, like they're basically spies and agents working for the good. You know, like stuff like that.
And I will
but they're somewhat evil, right?
Oh, they use evil tactics, maybe. They use like
they're like assassins.
I think they're open in the way warriors are, though. You can be an evil. Like, you know what I mean? Like, rogues aren't.
Kargoz is sitting there. I can see him shaking.
Well, I just want to say also that I know rogues have the, you know, they are. We'll say they were overpowered for a lot of vanilla. That's definitely true. And you know, they get the rep of being cowards, but you know, that's their ability that they have, and they use it how they fit. You can say the same thing about hunters, being cowards, running away all the time, and druids.
Well, I'm just going to knowledge dump, because this is not going to be in any order. This is just going to be a bunch of miscellaneous thoughts that I'm spewing out right now. Okay, so from the genesis of creating a rogue, I don't understand the appeal personally. I'm not just personally a fan of the kind of stealth playstyle of being kind of ninja, wearing medium style armor, dual wielding. That doesn't appeal to me. But that's just a totally subjective thing. So 1 to 10, we'll start 1 to 10. 1 to 10 is pretty slow. Slow leveling overall. You're gear dependent in the sense that you're dependent on weapons. All right. People say that with a lot of these melee classes, you can find a way to like hamstring kite or earthbind kite, or do some way to mitigate damage and trade one hit for one hit. Rogues kind of have that with crippling poison, but in my opinion, with these fast weapons, it just doesn't seem to be nearly as effective, and it just feels awkward when I was trying it. So you can't kite that effectively. Now stealth, if you were ahead of the curve. You could, but so if you're ahead of the curve, you know, okay, if you're in a crowded PvP server, then stealth can be valuable. Not because you're going to be going into stealth and opening on every mob for like that. It's just more efficient to run up to it. But stealth can be useful in avoiding ganks, right? You can just like stealth and let people run by you, whatever it is. But if you're trying to level quick, trying to level ahead of the curve, the stealth is really not going to do that much for you. Okay, so they have low mobility. They have sprint once every five minutes, which is basically Skull of Impending Doom, which is a quest item that you get, so everyone can get sprint, which is great.
Too, which is nice.
3.5 cooldown. So here's where it starts to get a little more juicy though. So they are not in any, when it comes to group content for me, in any shape or form. Please come at me and enlighten me right now. But when it comes to group content, like doing dungeons, duo leveling, whatever it is, my rogues are not on my radar. I'm just not including them. Like
I agree.
Let's give them my key service.
Sort of.
Why would you take a hunter?
Why would I take a hunter? Because they have they have traps.
Frost
they can
trap.
pull with frost trap. They can use freezing trap. They have a pet that can potentially off tank. Their pets are generally going to scale really well early on. You can get a defensive pet.
Nothing to group content.
Rogues, what do you get?
You can stab vanish though.
Sap Vanish is kind of a meme. It requires a reagent once every 5 minutes. You know, great. Maybe on one big pull in a dungeon, it's okay. It's semi-good. Sometimes it even fails. All right, and it requires a reagent. Same with like blind and stuff. The main utility I see from rogues is stun locking the mobs in a dungeon and being able to do high damage.
A lot of help.
It's okay.
It's huge help.
But I'm talking about in place of a Warlock, putting in like a Warlock, dude, where you're literally having Hellstones across the board.
You can also blind mobs though.
You can blind mobs with
those lock chests. Extra loot.
You can. I'm still not putting them over other classes though. That's the thing. Like, so my best in slot dungeon group is Druid Tank, then probably Pally Healer. This is for Alliance, and then it'd probably be Pally Healer, and then it would be Double Mage and probably Warlock. Double Mage Warlock. It'd probably be that. It seems like a meme, and I would just potentially AOE stuff down and just be.
I would use a different.
I mean, people in chat are bringing up some good points. Stuns do save heals sometimes.
Stuns are amazing.
Interrupts are good. But I've never been in a group where I was like, thank God this rogue is here. I never felt that way, ever.
Yeah.
No.
It's a selfish class to me. Rogue is the most selfish class to me. It's one roll, you're just DPS across the board, and then great, you're a pure DPS class. All of you have DPS, great, fantastic. Good luck, like, competing with warriors. Like, you look at the top parses, and it's like all warriors with the occasional rogue splattered in there. So yes, rogues have the potential.
Lava runs without a rogue, you can't even do them.
Sure, there's some maybe niche scenarios, and I'm not the most knowledgeable guy at the end of the day.
There's a lot of dungeons where you're like, having a...
To me, more than any other class in the game, a rogue is a selfish class. More than any other class in the game.
Yeah, they are. I will say that they
more than a mage that even is a pure DPS class. They still have portals, they still have food, they still have utility, they have hard CC.
So people in the chat think you might have had some bad run-ins with rogues, and that's why you hate them so much.
I may have been ganked
too many times.
I mean, for me, the value add of why you want to play a rogue is to fuck with people in World PvP. That is what it comes down to me.
Okay.
If I want a pure DPS, I'm going warrior.
Top tier DPS and top tier PvP.
I'll just go warrior. I'll just go warrior. Why would I just not go warrior? I'll be a warrior with invis pots.
And we're gonna have even more warriors on the server.
Sure thing. Go warrior and you get gnomish cloaking device and bring invis pots everywhere you go. Like if you want to be a little ninja, open people from stealth. Like,
did you actually test the leveling
doors and DM and you know?
From 1 to 10, I've leveled all the classes just so many times that
did you time it? Because back in the day, Blizzard did the contest, the fastest leveling to 10, and a rogue won it.
Really? I mean, okay. Well,
yeah.
even if they have the 1 to 10, we'll see. I haven't really timed them all, mathed them all out, but I can think of faster classes.
What year was this?
Yeah, 2004.
Oh, rogues.
I like to see that now.
Once you get dual spec as a rogue, and at very early, rogues do a lot of damage. They are very good damage. And
dude, I don't know, man. I'm working on a project and I had to do a rogue. I friggin' hated it, man. I hated it.
I'm telling you, when I play my rogue,
it's not that engaging. It's the most selfish class in the game, in my opinion. You've got very little group utility. Duo leveling is a non-starter. Like
I gotta say though, there has been so many instances where a rogue has saved my ass and the dungeon's ass, not only by having stun lock. Stun lock can be sometimes the make or break. Having stun lock, it is so nice when you get a 5 combo point stun lock on a mob that say it came off sheep or someone wasn't paying attention, someone did something, the tank pulled too many. 5 combo point kidney shot gives the tank time to prepare, set off. If that comes off, I can blind him. I can go back. I can re-stealth. I mean, it's so many different things. I think there are a lot of really selfish rogues out there, but I think maybe you haven't run into. There are a lot of really helpful rogues out there who know how to play their class correctly.
Oh, absolutely, I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm just saying.
I would just put something in a different slot. I would put a mage there. I would just have the hardest CC with the mage. I would just be able to mage being able to Nova them all down, dude. Just Nova them all down, sheep this person, give it like. The finesse on a mage is better.
Then a rogue would be better because rogues offer so much damage for leveling. Oh. When you're leveling with a rogue, and I mean they offer more damage than a warrior does in dungeons while leveling.
I'd rather even have just like a ret pally there, throwing off heals, bopping people, throwing lay on hands on people, like literally even if
honestly like one of my best groups people would be double mage, you know, with like say a bear tank, say a pally healer, and a rogue. Because you have that rogue who's just offering a lot of DPS. You have the mages right there.
Yeah, for the I mean, as a shaman, I would pick a rogue over. Yeah. So you know, I like heavy melee groups.
Okay, you like heavy melee groups.
Yeah, but I would still bring one mage. Of course.
Why would you just not stack warriors though? Stack warriors and have like.
You could do 2 warriors, but I think rogues do better damage.
Yeah.
Over warriors low.
The main thing that bothers me about rogues is their lack of AoE damage. They can cleave every 2 minutes.
Yeah, but Blade Fury is amazing.
2 minutes.
When you have Blade Fury up, it does so much damage.
2 minutes. It just does equal damage to another target every 30 seconds or whatever. Warriors have sweeping strikes.
If you look at the DPS charts though and see how much damage a rogue does without Blade Fury on a single target, even when you're doing in a dungeon, they're going to be up top usually on and usually when you're in a you're not AoEing things down. You're killing this mob, then killing that mob, then killing that mob, right? In vanilla, that's how we do things. It's not, let's just AoE this down, especially while you're leveling. You really don't have the chance to just
No, you can't. Definitely not.
Okay.
So AoE threat is not easy to come by.
Exactly. Right. So most of the time, you're killing one target at a time, and no other class does that better than a rogue while leveling.
I agree with that, actually.
Okay, so let's move even past that, right? Let's move even past it to the other aspects, just because we're running out of time here. So, like, gear dependent with weapons, they have the most competitive pre-raid BIS. They're limited to 1 role, which is DPS, right? They're not able to, potentially go prot and tank. And the thing is, when it comes to farming your pre-raid BIS or something like that, you have very little leverage as a rogue. You have very little leverage. As a warrior, I would just go prot and I would tank and form my own groups and then get my pre-raid BIS that way. So also, when it comes to PvP, rank 14, you need rank 14 to get BIS. So you have to go do that grind, which a lot of people is just, they're not going to be able to go rank 14.
Well, they're the most fun in PvP, in my opinion. They're so much fun.
Okay, well, what is their role in pre-mades, though? So their role in pre-mades in Warsong Gulch is to play defense and to stay in the flag room and fuck with druids. Was they trying to get the flag?
Yeah, but 99% of people won't be playing on pre-mades, right? So this is like, I think this is a lot of min-max stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, you're looking at a min-max point of view, and I'm just looking at like a fun point of view too. Like in my,
but I agree with some of your points. And this is honestly true. I've been in a dungeon healing, saying, thank God this rogue is here. I've never had that experience. If you had, that's interesting.
I have. And maybe you need to pay attention to it more because it happens a lot, honestly.
Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, no, I'm talking to Melderon because there's been a lot of times where a lot of rogues will stun lock over using their DPS just to save the tank or to save the healer, and I see it happen a lot, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that they're better. For me, I'd rather have, you know, my dream team is warrior tank, warrior DPS, rogue, mage, shaman. That's my dream team in a 5-man environment. You know, yeah, and you're right. So later game, that may be double warrior, especially when they have pre-raid bis.
Yeah.
They are destroying shit. Warriors are like just, but
I mean, you can't
especially while leveling, having their rogues
let me make it really simple. So here's my goals into Classic. I'm going into Classic. I want a PvP. I want a PvE. All right, let's go PvP. Yes, I can run in pre-mades, but in my opinion, there'd be better options. So rogues are in Warsong are put on defense to fuck with the druid. There's better options in my opinion there. I'd rather put a hunter or something like that there. And they're very much not the type of class where you kill someone in a stun lock. You're gonna have to use multiple tools, resetting, weaving in and out of the fight. It's not the type of thing where you just like global someone. In somewhat high level PvP with all the engineering shit and stuff, you know what I mean? Then
they have the most burst potential. I mean, other than like a 3-minute mage, their burst potential's insane.
Okay. The other thing about PvP that bothers me about them is that when you're talking, you don't really like engage in midfield. You can't really take damage from multiple sources. You're very much like a assassinate this guy kind of class compared to a warrior or something like that. You go into a battleground and as soon as you get right into the middle of the fray, you're just getting cleaved down and you're dead. Like you're super squishy and you can't take these multi-target fights.
You have to know how to play defensively.
It's a different play style, and the play style is less attractive to me. And
it sounds like the play style is not for you.
The play style is not for me.
I mean, Kargoz, but you have to look at this objectively, right? Yeah. So, but I agree. Like, I don't like rogues. I would never play a rogue. I don't like the whole class fantasy. I don't like stealthing. I don't like any of that shit. I want to be like out in the open. I want to be like mono. I don't want to go around someone's back and try to hit them. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I think we have to realize that there's a lot of potential for. There's a lot of hidden, non-direct CC they provide. Absolutely. You know, as a mage is like, okay, mage sheeps, but kidney shotting and what's the one? Sheep shot. These things are really important.
There's a lot of finesse. If you blow everything as a rogue too, you can get these really big power spikes. I get it. You know, you can if you blow everything you've got, but at the same time, in PvP 1v1 situations, you talk to some of the best rogues, people like Perplexity and stuff like that. They have a really hard time with the classes I want to play, like Warlock. Like you go up against an SO Warlock, you're still getting taken out 1v1. Like you're still like I think that there are better
some duels where they
do like weird stuff to kill the pet and do these crazy plays, but it's still not like a guarantee. Even stuff like a Warlock, which just brings.
Well, we're talking about high-end PvP.
High-end PvP, right? And
when it comes to like mid-level, rogue will always beat a mid-level. Like,
agreed. And you're going to catch people out in the open world without their consumables, lacking with subpar gear, whatever, and you'll be able to just roll them over as a rogue, like you would be able to do with any other class.
Just like how a hunter can roll out someone in real PvP.
Certainly. And this is the one class in vanilla that I have the hardest time finding a way to fall in love with. I would still be able to play it and find ways to enjoy it and stuff like that, but in my opinion, I would just play a class that can bring more to the table. Then when it comes to PvE,
have you ever played?
Sorry, yeah, I played a rogue. I've actually played a rogue in retail.
Max level? I mean, like max level in vanilla?
Not in vanilla. No, I've never played a rogue max level in vanilla. So I could be totally wrong here. I'm just expressing from my own anecdotal perspective.
I want you to play on my rogue and just like mess around with it.
All right, I'll mess around with it. So then we go into PvE though, right? We go into PvE and you're raiding, right? So you want to be, big dick damage, like, rogue, top of the meters. And certainly in many raid compositions, you can do this. You'll see rogues top in the meters. But all I'm saying is you look at the parses in the very top, and pretty much at every raid tier, warriors are pulling ahead of rogues, generally speaking, right? Generally. So if you're going to go pure DPS, to me, I'm thinking, why would I not want to go warrior, where I can have more of the game available to me, and there's just explain to me if you're trying to.
Because you don't have stealth. You don't have stealth. Like if you want to be a warrior, there's already a lot of warriors, right? But people who play warriors like to either tank or do.
I don't think we need any more warriors. Yeah, that's
exactly.
We don't need any more.
Now rogues, like you have the ability to not only do a great amount of damage in PvE, but you also have a leg in already in PvP where a warrior wouldn't. You know what I mean? You have high survivability by yourself while maybe not while you're in a one-on-one fight environment, but you're able to pick and choose which battle you can go to. You're able to stealth capping is so important. Whether it's in Alterac Valley, and I think it's something that you kind of forgot to look at is stealth capping. How many times have rogues stealth capped so many, Arathi base, so many
I think it's harder to do at high-level pre-mades, but it still is possible, even in those situations. And they can make big plays. And, like, I would put a Feral Druid... Exactly. I mean, not a Feral. I would put a Druid spinning the flag in AB, but that's one advantage Rogue have over Druids. They have more finesse and ability to go back cap or to go like ninja cap something, as opposed to a Druid just wouldn't have as many options on the table.
Yeah, and Vanish is huge.
So Vanish is huge, and Sap, when you have improved Sap, 90%, which is pretty much all the time, Sap is an amazing CC when you're spec'ing to it. You know, and being able to have Sap, have that stun lock, to have, you know, kidney shot, cheap shot, gouge, blind, Sap, and kick. You have a lot. You have a lot to offer as a rogue. And in PvP,
yeah, I think the reason why mages get so much more love in dungeon environments and PvE environments is that most warriors don't want to think about like possibilities. They want to say, you know, sheep that target. I know that target sheeped.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of tanks are like that. I'm like that. You don't really think about the behind-the-scenes CC that's happening on the road.
Yeah, especially if it gets resisted, and then you're like, oh shit, all these mobs are running after me, and then the tank has to save the day.
So, like, you know, I think, but a good rogue is going to kick those spells, is going to kidney shot instead of eviscerate if he thinks that the hit healer needs help.
Right.
So I think it comes down to a lot more skill than a mage is like.
I mean, mage just freezes them all down, and you literally just run away to the beginning of the instance as you're letting your spirit tick back up again. You know what I mean? Like mage would just be able to do that in a larger capacity, in a better way. I feel like overall, like yes, you could gouge one guy, kick one guy, you know, literally, you know, kidney shot, 5-point kidney shot one guy. Meanwhile, the mage is like, all right, guys, hold my beer, I got this. Frost Nova, everybody run over there for a little bit. I'll keep him busy for like 45 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like.
Well, I think you need both. You know, so that's why, you know, I think, you know, double mage is of course amazing.
Yeah, a double mage will never. I don't think there's a mage. Honestly.
But remember, a rogue can cheap shot or kidney shot you know, can they kidney shot elementals?
Yeah, you you can kidney elementals. I think so.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's true, but like, you know, there are situations where mages are useless. If it's not a beast or humanoid, how are they going to sheep?
I gotta remember. So, I know you can't bleed anything that's not like, you know. There's a lot of targets you can't use bleeds on. But you know,
you cheap shot Dragonkin.
Oh yeah, you can cheap shot. You can cheap shot. I think anything other than.
So yeah, you can kidney everything. That's a benefit over mage right there. Yeah. It depends on the situation. It's like warlocks, right? You know, if you can banish, you know.
Exactly. So, you know, and the thing is too, like stun locks. You know, when in PvP, in PvE, they don't have the diminishing returns that they do in PvP. They still have them, but it's not as much as they.
Certainly. Yep.
So it's a lot better when you're using
There's still lots of utility that rogues can bring to the table. It just, to me, for many reasons, it's the least appealing class, and I think they bring the least to the table. If I had to, I wouldn't know how to quantify it and compare it, but if I was just to compare the overall group utility, and I'm just comparing all the classes in my mind right now, I couldn't think of one that brings less than a rogue.
Honestly, I think a rogue can offer more than a hunter can in vanilla, just because the frost trap is not enough in vanilla. I think a rogue can offer more, just because.
Honestly, the only thing hunters can do is ice trap.
Yeah.
What else can they do?
And you know, a druid in PvP in PvE, you know, if you can, you know, sleep a beast, or you know, you can what?
They also can tank. They also can heal. They also
but they have, and then the only other thing that they have is roots. So it's like, and shamans for CC. I mean, what are you offering as for CC as a shaman?
Yep. Well, I guess one thing that I agree with you. Actually, in dungeons, I'm thinking about it right now. This is good. You guys are balancing me out right now. I'm hearing some other perspectives, and it's actually helping like calm the disdain for rogues. So in many ways, I agree with you. It may even be the type of thing where it's close, it's comparable with what hunters can do. Hunters have some weird ways to finesse though. They can bounce stuff back and forth. They can kite better than a rogue. They can kite. They have stuff like
a stun with their with
the pets, right? Stun. You can bring tanky pets that can off tank and stuff, and you can bounce threat back and forth. You have more AoE than a rogue in the sense of you can potentially use multi-shot and using your traps.
Don't forget crippling poison. Crippling poison's really is amazing, especially on humanoids that try to.
But what is absolutely mandatory about a rogue in a raid environment? Like at least the hunters bring it to the table, like trank shot and stuff like that.
In a raid environment,
you know, for a raid environment, it's basically just doing DPS like it would be for a warrior.
So there's no Can you imagine a world where we have like, you know, 15 warriors in a raid, you know, instead of or 20? I don't know. I think that's just
okay. Yeah, that's fair. Variety. That's fair. You want a variety. I'm just thinking though. I'm just thinking about utility a little bit here. That's all. Yeah. That's all.
They bring great DPS though. Rogues bring amazing DPS, and for what they can offer, for the amount of DPS that they give, they offer a decent amount for the amount of DPS they can do. Because you know, as a warrior, as a DPS warrior, what are you doing as a DPS warrior? As a rogue, at least a rogue can cheap shot. You know,
in a raid. Yeah, I mean,
in
like,
on trash,
on trash, yeah, on trash and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
there's a lot of trash.
You would also not bring a warlock and a hunter, so
yeah,
you will end up with only warriors.
Well, you know, I mean, you need trank shot. That's a hard stop right there. You need trank shot for
that's
fights,
true.
right?
But you can have 1 or 2 hunters, and that's it.
Yeah, just 1 or 2.
But also, you know, spell damage generally speaking is going to scale better than the physical damage later in the vanilla, right? Is that fair?
You take a mage over warlock.
Well, you can increase the damage of you know, you have curse of elements, right?
That's true.
Yeah, you have curse of elements. You have ways of amplifying stuff. You have soul stones, hell stones. I mean, hell stones.
But you can also just bring 1 warlock and have all of that.
Maybe.
Well,
maybe they could be spec differently, but yeah.
I think rogues, you know, they have a lot to offer. Bad. Don't get me wrong, Kargoz. There are the rogues out there that are complete selfish people, and people play rogues because they can be that kind of role. But I've met rogues like Eric Earlybird. I know he's the kind of rogue who helps whenever he can. He'll make sure that he cheap shot as much as he can, keep the target stunned, try to sap when he can if he can on a certain mob. You know, disabling traps, which is something that's pretty cool. Something you can do. You know,
the cats make me laugh.
Oh no, yeah. But oh no, I know someone, Robert, was saying, he was screaming in there. He was saying something about jumper cables. Yeah, having jumper cables, you have engineer.
Yeah.
But any class. Yeah,
you can get that on hunter. One thing I didn't think about until now, I have to say, which is pretty nice, is what Melderon was saying about with a shaman group composition where you go heavier with the melee. So like, so if you go heavier with the melee and you have multiple warriors, yes, honestly, that still might be the fastest if you're at that critical level where your gear is good enough where you just cleave through everything and it's insanity. Yeah. But like, if you're not at that level, the rogue would probably offer some more control options than another.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking of another melee I might have instead.
Don't forget about opening doors in DM and doing things
said key
like
service. Yeah, I said
key service, and getting the flames in BRD, stealthing and getting them, and also you can stealth and get the. You can go and do the 7 dwarfs room with the rogue. You can stealth in there and start the event while everyone else is on the outside.
Yeah,
yes, that's true as well.
I think it's because I naturally would gravitate towards more spell damage compositions, and you would gravitate that. Maybe I wasn't thinking in that respect, but yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. I'm gonna give rogues a shot, man. I'm gonna give rogues a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, rogues. You know, another really awesome clutch thing. You know, this doesn't happen all the time, but this has happened to me many times. You're fighting someone 1v1, and you're losing, and all of a sudden you see that shot days over their head, and you're like, my man, like you see that, and you're just like, that is like one of the best.
And dude, we had fun. How much fun did we have killing people?
So yeah, we did a mage rogue world PvP. Like Defcamp was a rogue, I was a mage. We were just annihilating people, dude. I would just start, start with a frostbolt, having this like where's that coming from, and then he cheat shots, and it's just like,
they're dead before they even know what happened.
Yeah, but it's a lot. I think rogues are pretty
Hunter
cool.
rogues are great.
I could never play a rogue personally because I don't like the playstyle.
You said you were interested in them when I started.
I played them. You know when I played them in Mists of Pandaria, and I played them for like a week, and I was done.
Oh my god, rogues were at their top though in vanilla and BC. I'm sorry, rogues after vanilla and BC were a totally different class.
Of sneaking up on someone and killing them was cool for like a week for me.
I know, but I'm saying is like a rogue in MoP is so different than a rogue.
Another thing that maybe makes me not like rogues in vanilla, and it's because I don't have a lot of experience in vanilla, but the fact they don't have cloak in vanilla, there's no cloak of shadows, is crazy. Unless
you're a dwarf.
Well, that's only for bleed.
You have something similar. You don't have exactly cloak.
That's why if you're not a dwarf, like a dwarf rogue, so that's why I love my dwarf having stone form. It bleeds, poisons, and diseases.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yep. Otherwise, you better have a loofah and you better have some jungle remedy.
It really comes out of that every class is very well designed. They are all so unique.
Okay, so you guys got love for the rogues. You guys, even after what I'm saying, you guys still got love for the rogues. That's good. That gives me hope. That gives me hope.
I do. I'm a proud player of a rogue.
Okay.
They have their place.
Okay.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys balancing me out. I do. I gotta learn a little more about the rogues.
Itself, everyone talks about how horribly balanced it is. It's actually pretty awesomely balanced when you think about niches.
And when you add PvP and PvPe together.
Both. Everyone has a niche. Each spec has a niche. I can't think of a spec right now that maybe balance. I was trying to think of one. I think it's balance. Well, that's the one I can't think of. Doesn't have a niche. But other than that, I think that's the only.
Balance is pretty badass in PvP.
Yeah.
No, it's not bad. But it doesn't.
It's badass.
Yeah, it's badass.
It's not bad. But do you think it's different enough from Elemental Shaman? Do you think they exist in the same niche? That's what kind of what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But they can play the hybrids. Yeah, Shaman can do it as well.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think they exist in the same niche. Other than that, I can't think of another. Well, okay, rogues. I mean, the rogue specializations and the hunter specializations are a bit redundant, right? I mean, like how many?
Subtlety is.
What's the PvP? What's
subtlety.
that?
Oh, I mean subtlety assassination.
And then where's assassination come in?
With cold. Well, you can get cold. Assassination is also late.
Assassination's combat swords, isn't it?
Crit cap.
Oh no, that's combat.
No, that's combat.
Yeah,
once you get crit capped, you go assassinate. You go seal fate.
Right.
Okay, so it has its place. Hunter, does survival have a place at all?
Yeah, once
you get certain like levels of stats, you're able to potentially it maths out being better to be survival. So.
What's the PvP way to go for hunters?
For hunter, for me, it's to go the spec where you get scatter shot and intimidation, and you just have a lot of control.
Okay,
you're able to scatter trap, bait the trap. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but you're still going down to get intimidation and Beastmaster, yeah, and then you're getting.
I'm just trying to argue that each spec and each talent has a niche somewhere in the game. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah,
you have 5-minute mages, you have arcane.
Exactly, arcane is obvious. That's obvious. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of ones.
Even in PvE, you're mostly arcane. You know, a lot of people say there's no such thing as arcane mages. Yeah, there is because you're using the arcane tree. You know. You're not using arcane spells, but you're going down the arcane tree almost all the way to arcane power, even in PvE, unless you're the bitch mage, you know.
The bitch mage. Nice, dude. Nice. Oh man. Should we wrap it up, though, boys?
I love the fraud. Well, I hope we gave you guys some insight into class you want to play. You know.
Yep. I am to rogues is what Melderon is to paladins. Right.
No. Hold on. Whoa.
No, he's like, no.
No, I'll never argue paladins. Like, I think they are very. I mean, I'll never say theoretically and data wise they're bad. For me, they're just very. I have no want to play a paladin ever. Like I tried. Like I can't get past level 10 without saying like this is the shittiest.
Didn't you play one in BC though?
It's just, huh?
Didn't you play one in BC and love it on a BC private server?
Not BC, Wrath. Whenever they got like that holy shield where they throw the shield out and everything.
Avengers Shield, that was BC.
I loved that.
BC,
that was like I thought that was great. They got Avengers Shield in BC.
Yeah.
The shield bounces off the
mountains.
Yeah,
that was BC, dude.
BC, bro.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was so fun. Paladins were
Wrath.
sick in BC.
I played it
bro.
Wrath.
Paladins were sick.
They are amazing in BC.
Yeah, they're so
good. Paladin
is
so amazing in BC, dude.
Yeah.
But to me in vanilla, it's just like turn on this thing, judge. Turn on this thing, judge. Turn on this thing, judge.
Yeah, you'd rather just have a 5-minute buff on your weapon, right?
Well, but you're doing that within a fight, though. No, Dunedain, you're doing that within a fight, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Shaman, you have that on for 2-3 fights. So that's, I guess, what I'm talking about.
So you're doing more as a paladin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like you're doing anything. Like you're doing this, you're turning this on, you're dropping a hammer down, you're turning it on again, dropping a hammer down, but I don't feel like you're going anywhere. You know what I mean? That's just
was Paladin your least favorite class though, out of all of them?
Oh, 100%. Not even close.
What about you? What about you, Def? What's your? Do you have a least favorite, or are you just very neutral on all of them? You look like the darkest, shadowy.
Yeah, he like lagged. He like lagged out.
Look like oh damn. It's all right, dude. What about you?
It's so weird that you like a shaman and you don't like a paladin.
What's your?
Yeah, he's coming downstairs now. He's coming downstairs. He unplugged his computer. He unplugged his computer by accident. Come down in the basement.
What about you, Dunedain? What's your least favorite? Do you have one? Is it Warlock?
It's hard. I think at the moment it would be Warrior.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Warlock is, I don't know. Warlock is. I would love to love Warlock, but I don't.
There they are.
It makes it middle of the pack rather. Warrior is probably.
I can't hear what they're saying.
Yo, they're saying that you're in shadow form.
They're saying you're in shadow form.
Yo, Defcamp's in shadow form right now. Oh my god.
Dog's
dude.
out here too. Get him up there. Come on, come here, Google. Anyway, so I guess we better go. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
It is, man. The passion is deep. The passion runs deep, guys. Best game ever made.
I think what we need to say is that, like, there's our dog back there. Is that
cutie pie?
When it comes down to it, guys, play the friggin' class you want to play. Yes. Don't listen to. Someone just dropped out. That was Defcamp. So don't play the class you want to play, right? Just don't listen to like min-max theory crafting. At the end of the day, do what you want to do. Because like there's always been people like us that want to do the data stuff. We want to do the data-driven stuff. We want to learn how to do certain things. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, do you, right? That's kind of what it comes down to.
All right. Sounds
Never
good.
forget that paladins are better than shamans.
No, absolutely not. All right.